Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Thursday Super Cup Series as we present the Papa John's 250 at Kansas Speedway. This is a very unique mile and a half that is more top groove. Traditionally, of course, this next-gen machine, you could try to drive on the bottom for about 15 or so laps before you start to move up to the top. It's going to be very difficult to pass at this 1 mile and a half racetrack. Of course, tire wear is going to be significant. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have none other than Big Al in the booth with me. How are you doing tonight, Big Al?
Doing outstanding tonight, Brian, and excited to be, click your heels 3 times. That's right, we're in Kansas. So, going to see exactly what this one pulls off for us here tonight. And to add to it all, we're in the playoffs.
That we are. I mean, we are in the first race, if I'm not mistaken, of the playoffs. And we have, of course, on the banners for everybody's race cars that is in the top 16, a yellow banner that, of course, is unique to the playoff drivers. That'll kind of show who all is in contention for a championship title. We're watching Shane Parrish, of course, has just exited pit road to do some qualifying. And, of course, this is going to be an interesting one. The first playoff race, I think a lot is on the line here for guys to try to lock themselves into the next round, which I do believe is round of 12. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And you understand when the playoffs come, the implications are high because you really don't get too many shots at it. I mean, you take a couple whacks at it, and then I think that's really going to be the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, especially, with the Cup Series we always see with the ISCA, there's a lot of chances to win a Cup Series title in the ISCA, right? There's not as many opportunities to win a Super Cup championship, though, considering the Cup Series title is a 12-week season, while the Super Cup is the full NASCAR season. So, I mean, that's a lot more prestigious, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're wrapping it up. And this is the big one. You get those quarter cups, but this shows the guy that was there for the long haul, the teams that actually stuck it out.
No, 100%. No, I agree totally. Of course, let's take a look at the race facts for this evening's race. The Papa John's 250, 167 laps we have on the docket here tonight. Stages are 35 and 75. And, of course, the race concluding on 167. 4 sets of tires actually down in the pits, 5 altogether. Fuel window is 60 laps, so pretty, I'd say, normal for what you see at a mile and a half style racetrack. But this is going to be definitely a track that you're going to want to try to save your tire. Setup is going to be fairly, I'd say, important at this racetrack, but also the driver is going to be important as well. It's very easy to drive the race car very hard and end up paying the price later. Taking a look at the Cup Series standings here. Patrick Gitter, of course, is at the top of the board. He has 4 wins on the season at the moment with 10 top 10s. So very good season so far for him. Brandon Pasalacqua is out in 2nd place. 3rd place, Brian Johnson. 4th, Matt DeCiani. 5th place, Josh Schaffner. 6th, Chris Johnson. 7th, Greg Wychinski. 8th, Shane Parrish. 9th, Kenny Powell. And 10th, Randy Mullins. Next, we go up to the all-important, what we've been talking about, playoffs, the Super Cup. And, of course, taking a look at that, we see Patrick Gitter right now is at the top of the board. I do believe this is the so the playoffs started last week at Darlington. I think I made a little bit of a mistake there. So he has gotten his first win, and I do believe is locked in to the playoffs. So that's going to be good for him. Of course, Matt DeCiani came in 2nd, very close 2nd as well last week at Darlington. So expect him to be trying to see if he can't lock his way in here. Of course, he's pointed 2nd right now. Brandon Pasalacqua has been very, very consistent all season long. He sits in 3rd right now. Brian Johnson 4th. Josh Schaffner 5th. Shane Parrish is in 6th. 7th, Chris Johnson. 8th, Randy Mullins. 9th, Greg Wychinski. 10th, Ryan Strunk. And, of course, 11th, Kenny Powell. 12th, J.C. Evans. This is where the cut line begins, Big Al. You see Darren Mullins below the cut line in 13th. Mark Sanchez below the cut line, 14th. 15th, Alexander Carr. Of course, that he's well below, tied, I do believe, with actually Mark Sanchez. Scott Naslin. Have not seen him in a race in quite a little bit of time, so I do not believe he's actually going to be possibly running for the title. So that might leave a little bit of a room for possibly these guys to have less competition, I'd say. So it's probably going to be pretty much the top 15 that are going to be trying to get into the next round Of course, there are only 12 positions, so we got to play a little bit of musical chairs. There's not going to be enough chairs at the end of this round, Big Al.
Yeah, so you better go ahead and grab yourself a seat, or you might get stuck on your feet. And if you do, mind, you just might as well show yourself to the door. That's the unfortunate part of this, but it is that time of year. So unfortunately, a lot of other sports are getting going, but our season's really wrapping up. And I'm excited about next season, I guess you'd say.
100%. Well, let's take a quick commercial break. Well, actually, let's pay some attention to our nation with our national anthem. We'll be right back, and of course, we'll pay some attention to our sponsors as well with our starting grid. All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The night time is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
Speed training. It's how Advanced Auto Parts trains our staff to get you the right part even faster. Not bad. The parts you need, even faster. Advanced Auto Parts. Service is our best part. Next!
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel personal, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Thursday Super Cup Series. Of course, we have the starting lineup all ready for our second playoff race of the season. Patrick Gitter, with a scorcher of a lamp, 30.205, qualifies on the pole. Shane Parrish, of course, starts in second place. Third place going to be Brandon Pasalacqua. Chris Johnson's going to be starting in fourth place. Fifth place, Brian Johnson. Randy Mullins, of course, starts in sixth. Seventh place, J.C. Evans. Matt DeCiani is in eighth. Ninth place, Miller Bonds. Kenny Powell, I should say, is in 10th place. 11th place, Charles Joplin. Josh Schaffner in 12th. And 13th, I do believe, if it turns over, Mark Sanchez.
That's right. 14th is going to be Greg Wachinski with Kevin Zosiak in 15th. Frank Flores starts off in 16th. Jeffrey Ford, 17th. 18th place shows Darren Mullins with Stephen Thompson in 19th. 20th, you have Jeffrey Souza. And 21st shows Al Casalowski. 22nd place shows Randy Belt. 23rd, Ryan Strunk. 24th is Derek Jacobs, and Greg Newsom rounds out this 25-car field.
Pretty good number of race cars here for a competition here at Kansas. I wonder how many are going to finish it, though. I mean, this is, of course, always been a very clean league. But I would not be surprised with how hard it is to pass, Big Al, that we might see a little bit of controversy here tonight.
Oh, controversy. That's an odd word to start off the sequence of racing with. Controversy. What will be controversial about it? What do you speculate?
Well, like I said, it's very difficult to pass at a track like Kansas, especially on the longer runs. I mean, guys are really going to be protecting the top side a lot, and that's going to make it, I'd say, a little frustrating for some other drivers. And, could we see some contact? I mean, keep in mind as well, Big Al, these guys are going for playoff spots right now. There's, like I said, there's a limited amount of positions to get into the next round.
Yeah, not everybody's going for playoff spots. So that brings up a whole nother question. But we'll talk about that once we get going here. The lights are off on the pace car, and he's going to be getting down and out of the way, and we'll be entering that Geico restart zone.
100%. Here we go. As the Geico restart zone, green flag is out for the first time here. We are going to be taking care of some business here in the Papa John's 250. Patrick Gitter with a fairly clean restart. Top Groove is, of course, the strong line around this place, but Chris Johnson, not with a lot of help up on the top, all by his lonesome. And of course, Shane Parrish as well, I do believe, missed the start. So that is going to be an unfortunate result there. So here comes Brandon Pasalacqua to the inside. Going to see if he can't possibly lead the first lap here. Can Patrick Gitter hold on to it as he gets the run out of 4?
A lot of cars going low there, fighting for position as they come across the start-finish line for that first lap.
Yeah, and it looks like Gitter is going to lead that first lap as Pasalacqua made his best effort to try to pass the 21. Was not able to get there. Of course, Patrick Gitter dominated Darlington last week. I do believe he won stage 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got the most stage points so far.
Hat trick for him, I do believe, if my memory serves me correctly. And he's going to be seeing if he can actually continue that dominance here tonight. But further back in the field, surprisingly, we got drivers that are definitely just trying to figure out where they're going to fit into this thing as it all shakes out, Brian. Doesn't seem like everybody got that friendly memo because we are seeing 3 wide racing here at Kansas in the early start of stage 1.
Yeah, that we are. Here comes Pasalacqua, though. He is going to successfully take the lead. We talked about Kansas being a top groove dominant sort of track. Pasalacqua just rocketed right by the 21 on the top side. Also, here comes, I do believe, Randy Mullins, another playoff driver. I love to see those yellow banners. Definitely shows who's in the playoffs and who's not. Makes it easy for us up here in the booth. Here comes Chris Johnson to the outside of Patrick Gitter. Gitter, almost like a sitting duck with these guys getting past him on the top there. But I'm wondering what that's going to mean for the long runs for these drivers that are utilizing that top. I do believe, from what I've heard from a lot of drivers, the recommendation is kind of to run that bottom for 10 or 15 laps and then move up to the top. So this is interesting to see these guys using the top so early.
Yeah, you're going to have to figure it out because probably not a lot of green flag racing there because, remember, not everybody's getting to play this week. It just, unfortunately, it's week 13 in the series, so probably the best racing these guys are going to get, maybe through the A Opens.
There are no A Opens this week, Big Al. Only thing that these guys have is the NIS race, which is a lot like what we're seeing here tonight.
Except for a lot more cautions.
That is definitely very much a fact. As we see some big wiggles there in the middle of the track here. I do believe that is Josh Schaffner having a little bit of some wiggles there, trying to get some grip. The dirty air is huge at a racetrack such as this. Here comes Al Kozlowski trying to get through the middle here. This is the battle for, I do believe, 11th, actually 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yeah, he's going to be there with Charles Joplin and Josh Schaffner, mixing it up, making it a little bit 3 wide.
That's definitely scary right now. Look at the new paint scheme there for Ryan Strunk. New ride there for him as we see someone go through the middle. And I'm not sure who that is. I do believe that's Stephen Thompson in the 67. Oh, almost a little bit of contact between Joplin and Schaffner. Schaffner is in the Hornet's nest.
Yeah, you know what you do when you're in the Hornet's nest. You get out as quick as you can.
That you
do. That is not where you want to be.
At the moment, it's G&G 1-2 right now. As, of course, we saw, I do believe, a elite EPI 1-2-3 last week.
Trouble on the racetrack. We've got trouble on the racetrack. Caution is out for the first time here tonight. Talk about the Hornet's nest. I do believe a couple of drivers just got stung.
It does appear to be the case. I think it was centering around Ryan Strunk, because we're going to take a look back at this accident. Frank Flores. You see him on the bottom. The 77 pushes up, I do believe, into the 67 of Stephen Thompson. And, of course, Frank Flores as well goes for a ride. Lots of contact right there. This is going to affect a lot of people's races here. And, of course, you see Strunk has that yellow playoff banner.
Yeah, I tell you one thing that's going on, too, here, Brian. No repairs required flags issued on that one. So a lot of guys dodged a bullet there here tonight.
You see right there, contact between the 77 and 67. Unfortunately, the 8 as well. They just out of turn 4, you could tell a lot of these drivers are getting tight out of 4, Big Al, and that causes them to kind of compact and compress, and a lot of times room runs out quick.
Yeah, but, that's going to bring back up the point that I said we would talk about as this thing got going, and that is the absence of that yellow banner. If you got a car with the yellow banner and he gets wrapped up in an incident and the cars around him do not, that's going to start to affect the way some drivers feel about this playoff racing. What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely an interesting thought. No, I mean, this is when we have to answer those hard questions. I mean, you got drivers like Miller Bonds. You got, a lot of drivers, other drivers. I can mention Kevin Zonziak, Stephen Thompson. He's not a playoff driver. I mean, we got a lot of drivers out here that are not involved in the playoffs right now. And that is, it could go wrong for sure. And it could end up with the playoff driver getting wrecked and destroyed by a non-playoff driver. And there's going to be some sore feelings.
Well,
Exactly. There's going to be sore feelings.
It just happened.
But I wouldn't necessarily put that on Stephen Thompson. I think he was holding his line. I mean, looking back at it, I mean, I wouldn't really put it on any of those drivers, to be honest with you. I think it was just a 3-wide racing deal. I think those guys were just being. I think the whole group was being aggressive.
So then let me ask you this question. We're on lap 10 of a stage that has 35 laps before we could actually wave a flag on this stage, right? That incident occurred on lap 8, and you said 3-wide racing. Now, I'm just here I'm just asking questions. I'm asking for a friend of a friend who's texting me because he doesn't have access to a hot mic. Do you think 3-wide racing at Kansas that early in the stage, do you think that's too much?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, now I maybe would understand it closer to the end of the stage, because you got to think playoff points are on the line, right? I mean, you want to get up there to the top 10 to get them points. But, eight laps in, it's definitely not a good look for sure. I mean, especially in the ISCA where not, we usually don't see things like that occur. But it seems like Kansas is these guys are being a little bit more aggressive than I kind of suspected they would be. And you know what? I think a lot of it, what's leading to that, of course, is the playoffs themselves. But also last week we were at Darlington, a place where, being cautious is kind of the name of the game, right? Now you come to Kansas, this is a track where you can make aggressive moves. You know what I mean? These guys are letting the horses out.
You could go 3 wide, and that is
Can't
it.
do that at Darlington.
Just for the sake, but it was just for the sake of conversation because this is going to come up, especially as we go on through the race tonight. Just because the driver doesn't have a yellow banner on his car doesn't mean that he's still not here to race and win this thing. So I just personally, I welcome the sportsmanship as well as the competition. 1 to go here, lights off on the pace car. He's going to be getting down and away. And once again, we head through that Geico restart zone.
That's right. Green flag seem to be flying here as no one went down pit road. I do believe tires have just worked a while more than anything. Of course, Brandon Pasalacqua choosing the top side as the green flag is back out in the air once again. And Brandon Pasalacqua is going to be challenged by his teammate, Chris Johnson. Go ahead, Big Al.
Absolutely. These guys, they're going to have to actually sort it out to figure out how the running order is going to be. But one thing that's unfortunate is that caution is actually going to cause us to have to wait a little bit longer to see how this thing shakes out. So just be prepared to see a little bit more 3-wide racing and side-by-side racing here towards probably, I'd say, even the end of this stage.
Yeah, for sure. And they also have the issue of possibly having to deal with lap traffic. I do believe I see the 67 of Stephen Thompson's on the racetrack just ahead of the leaders at the moment. Now, that could be an issue just considering these mile-and-a-half tracks are very much big on the draft. So if he's outside of the draft, he's going to be a little bit slower. He's also got damage. No fast repairs in the ISCA leads to, a lot of times a slower vehicle, right? So just got to keep an eye on that. Pasalacqua was definitely probably alerting his teammates because you can see right there on your screen, he's coming up very close to Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, I think I saw his hand out the window. Nope, sorry. Made that up.
But you can see Patrick Gitter is trying to battle right now. Now, this is going to condense a lot of these drivers here. I mean, when you looks like Thompson's coming down pit road. Interesting decision there for him to pop down pit road when he did. I think that's of course, I think he did that just to kind of stay out of the way. He didn't want to cause any issues.
I think he was at the right spot of the track, though, where he could have probably just got down on the inside and maybe even tried to pick up the draft. But, his strategy is going to land him multiple laps down. I don't know if that's the playbook I'd be calling from tonight.
No, I mean, it definitely is not what you want to do. But, I think that maybe the car was more damaged than he thought it was, and got out there, turned a couple laps, and realized, hey, I'm dealing with half a deck right now, As we see, of course, big battling right now. J.C. Evans. I'm telling you, J.C. Evans really running well right now. Of course, he is a playoff driver. Does have, I do believe, a friend or family member of him that he is representing on that race car. Has been doing that pretty much all season. I could get a better look and have more information to kind of give a little bit of a shout out there, but means a lot to him, and he definitely has someone on board there in his race car. Looking really fast here tonight, side by side right now with Brian Johnson. These guys are not slouches, so JC definitely performing well at the moment. He needs to. I mean, he is one of the drivers I do believe not too high up on the point standings at the moment.
Yeah, Roger's just watching, right there around J.C. Evans is Randy Mullins. And so far, J.C. would be our biggest mover. Started this thing all the way back in 7th place, and he is currently running up in 4th. The thing is, you mentioned this earlier, as we get closer to the middle of this stage here, drivers aren't going to get the opportunity to get these stage points. So it's really going to be gobble time here, Brian.
Yeah, another guy that's really been very much impressing this season, of course, it's not in the playoffs, is Miller Bonds. I'll tell you, he's been looking really, really fast. He seems like he drives pretty respectful. So definitely gotta give him a shout-out. Been looking really fast in that Ryko car. Glad to have Ryko being represented in the ISCA, I got to be honest. And, we just have so many different teams represented out here, and you love to see it. That's what I love about the ISCA. You got a medium for all of these talented and fast competitive teams to come out here and battle each other. That's Pasalacqua leads the train.
And the the emergence of so many new teams that have come into the ISCA is just, that's another thing that's great, that's making it even better. Because there was a time where it was the G&G show. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. But now, at any given Sunday or Thursday night, you come out here and you just never really know who's going to be up front.
That's right. As we see J.C. Evans getting to the outside wall in the middle of 1 and 2, Josh Schaffner takes advantage. Schaffner was outside of the top 10. He's now up to top 5. Big run from the 50.
That's going to make the 50 the biggest move, because he started this contest all the way back in 12th now, Brian, and now he has actually entered into the top 5. So talk about a man that's on a mission. I mean, he is ascending to glory.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I mean, we talk about Schaffner a lot. I mean, he hasn't been performing, I think, to his caliber lately, to be honest with you, just to be honest and tell facts. But I'll tell you, we've talked about him earlier in the season, and the reason that he is always known as the Iceman, and the guy that he saves tires like a champ. I mean, he's really good at it, so I suspect he's going to be really good at it here tonight. I think he's going to be, he wants to turn that season around. I think later in the regular season, he just wasn't showing that Josh Schaffner speed that we're accustomed to seeing, but I think he's back to his old glory.
Yeah, definitely making it count when it needs to, this especially being the playoffs. So if ever there were a time that you want to come out and show out, hey, you couldn't have probably picked a better time to do so.
100%. Getting a little bit loose, though, in the middle of 3 and 4. Patrick Gitter putting a lot of pressure on the 50 machine. It looks like a lot of drivers are starting to trend to a loose condition right now.
Yeah,
so it's interesting to see as we get a little bit of cloud cover as well on the racetrack.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier, just as watching Mark Sanchez, and I think the loose condition is definitely starting to be more prevalent here right now. Ambient air temperature 71 degrees. That track temp's 98 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind out of the south at 6 miles an hour. So these drivers right now definitely starting to feel those partly cloudy skies that you were mentioning. That's probably going to actually cause that track to possibly cool off in some places.
Yeah, I do want to, of course, bring up our camera here. I do believe we have actually Josh Schaffner on the camera, so we can kind of show him. Well, we did. I think he actually canceled his camera. We did have his camera going. So if Josh is listening, you can turn your camera back on, Josh. I know we have Brandon Passalacqua on deck. I do believe Randy Mullins as well. As well as I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Johnson. So we do have a lot of drivers' cameras on. Let's take a look at Chris Johnson. Let's see what he looks like. But I do like, we don't get a lot of opportunities to use these cameras, but I think it's a good opportunity to use it here tonight. We'll take a look as we ride on board with Chris Johnson. You can kind of see him on your screen as well as his cockpit camera.
10 laps to go right here in stage 1. Chris Johnson currently running in second place. So far, everybody's pretty tight, but then looks like we've got a little bit of a gap between 7th place Randy Mullins and the 54 car and the 24 Kenny Powell. The lead 3 cars appear to be in a breakaway of their own as well. So I think this is probably what we were looking forward to seeing. But looks like, yeah, we did kind of get back there. Now, if these guys are going to have any shot at making it, this is go time here in this stage, Brian.
I'll tell you one driver that I think has hit the go button is probably Patrick Gitter. Gitter fell back to 5th. A little bit of a wiggle there. Him and Brian Johnson almost get connected.
I think they did get a little connected there, and that was the cause of the wiggle sensation that the 21 felt.
Well, I'll tell you, but Patrick Gitter has come on strong here late in the run, so it really shows that that API driver has a really fast long run set up underneath him. And, of course, we also got to keep in mind Shane Parrish, who I do believe qualified on the outside pole, did not start there. He is now, I do believe, in 18th. So even though he started from the pits, Big Al, he's up to 18th. I think we're going to watch that 66 drive through the field all night. I mean, he's usually really good at long run. Best long run driver, I'd say, in the ISCA.
I mean, he's starting second. Maybe that was just a call to start from the pits. I would have did the same thing. Kind of get you away from that first lap melee, if you will. And is Shane Parrish a playoff driver?
He definitely is. So I think he's just trying to survive the melee, like you said. I think that's kind of the key. But then again, I mean, he's going to be losing out on those top 10 stage points. And I do want to mention as well, I do believe the top 10 have, if I'm not mistaken, 8 playoff drivers in it. So there's going to be 8 drivers that are going to be taking advantage as we see big battle between the 99 and the 21 for a playoff point there. That's for second and third.
These tires are in the screen mode as Kenny Powell just makes about a 54 of Randy Mullins.
And you could tell that, a little bit of a wiggle there off the corner there for Chris Johnson. You could tell that Gitter really prioritizes his long run here. He's not pushing very hard in the early goings. He let all these guys go because he knew that they would come back to him. Oh, Chris Johnson really loose. You see tire smoke coming off the back of that race car.
And I think that's exactly where we're at in this stage. I think right now these guys are going to be having to drift it through in order to make it because these cars are extremely loose right now, but loose is fast.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious if Patrick Gitter is going to be able to catch up to Brandon Pasalacqua before this stage ends. Now, of course, Pasalacqua has been in the clean air. Clean air a lot of times does help you save tire. And we mentioned earlier how hard it is to pass. If he stays up on the top like he's been running, it's going to be very difficult for Patrick Gitter to actually make the pass happen. Of course, he is closing in, inching closer. Is he inching closer enough, though? Also, Miller Bonds up to top 5 now as he battles with, I do believe, Chris Johnson. Johnson, of course, had that big moment. Look at that. Pasalacqua even trying to break the draft on Gitter.
Try to do anything he can to gain the advantage. Also, Brian, we're continuing to watch Shane Parrish along with Randy Mullins. As Randy Mullins is now in 10th place, and he is sliding the wrong way into that points position. So there's a lot of yellow banners up in the top 10. If you got a yellow banner and you're not, I mean, I think this is your boarding call.
100%. We were just looking at Shane Parrish. I think he's having some internet issues right now. I'm hoping he doesn't get a throughput error or anything like that. Kenny Powell, though, trying to challenge his teammate, John Schaffner. Now, Powell, outside, I do believe, of the cut line right now, he needs as many points as he possibly can get, I do believe. I might be mistaken, but I do believe Kenny Powell struggled a little bit over the last bit of this season.
Yeah, I would agree. I've seen that myself. As Schaffner seems to be high into the wall, is going to allow Powell to go without any.
Here's the battle for the lead right now as Pasalacqua tries to defend against Patrick Gitter. Gitter is taking every line that Pasalacqua's not, as he's on the inside, side by side for the lead. White flag is out for stage 1, and Gitter has taken the lead.
Gitter stayed back, laid off his tires just enough, and he was actually able to come back, put the heat in when he needed to. It looks like he's going to try to run away with this thing with 1 lap to go in the stage.
And I think
those drivers.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying. I think that Brandon Pasalacqua and Brian Johnson, these guys have learned a valuable lesson. I do believe. I think that they realize that Gitter let us go on purpose. Like he knew that if he saved his tires, he was going to be there later. As the caution flag is out, Patrick Gitter, of course, your stage 1 winner. Yet again, a very awesome performance there from Net 21. Brian Johnson in second. Brandon Pasalacqua third. Miller Bonds up to 4th. Big run for him. Chris Johnson's 5th. Kenny Powell, 6th place. Josh Schaffner, 7th. Matt DeCiani, 8th. Jeffrey Souza up tonight. Charles Joplin, really impressive 10th place right now here in stage 1. We'll be right back. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we'll talk to the 21.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgot.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we just completed stage number 2. Brian Johnson able to win the race off of pit road. Of course, Patrick Gitter was able to win stage number 1. I do believe we're going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Gitter here in just a moment. Mr. Patrick Gitter, do you read me?
Yeah, Brian. Gotcha.
Great job on the stage 1 win, man. You seem like you showed a lot of patience and willpower there to be able to just come back like that. I mean, you let everybody go. I mean, what was the whole strategy? Did you know that you had the car to kind of just come to life there later in the run?
Man, I was hoping so. I felt like we've got some pretty good pace this week on longer run, and I just felt like I had a certain pace that I needed to stay at to make it pay off. So I was just lucky to get up there. I didn't think I was going to. Brandon and Brian were real fast there on that run, so I was just fortunate that it stayed green.
Now, if I'm wondering if maybe those guys possibly learned a lesson as well, considering watching you kind of let them go. So we'll have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. But definitely a good start to your second race in the playoffs. I know you dominated last week at Darlington. I'm sure you're hoping to get that done again. What's your confidence level looking like right now?
Trying to keep it in check. I mean, it's Kansas. It's 1.5 miles, plenty of room, but this is one of those tracks where you never know what's going to happen, whether it be a late race wreck or pit strategy goes bad or something like that. So I think we've got a fast car. It's just a matter of if the dominoes fall in our way.
Now, how difficult was it preparing for tonight? I know that there are no A Opens. There is only pretty much NIS to practice with. What did that cause any more challenge?
Yeah, it was a little more challenging to dial in the race pace. I mean, you can test solo, all you want over the weekend preparing for the next week, but the car totally changes in the draft and a pack, all that. So yeah, it was a little more difficult this week. So still kind of learning and testing some things here and there and making some tweaks as we go.
All right. Well, congratulations for your stage 1 win. Who can we give a shout out to?
Yeah, man. You guys in the booth. Thanks for broadcasting. Kenny for putting on the league. EPI, Team Conti, C12 Design Shop, and Barton PC.
All righty. Well, good luck to you, Patrick. We'll see you at the end of the race, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
All righty. That was Patrick Gitter, driver of the 21. Won stage number 1. Let's see if he can do it again, Big Al, like he did at Darlington last week. He's definitely, if he can keep the streak alive, that'd be very impressive.
Yeah, I think he's probably not going to have as many problems as you think. But I think the biggest thing is these drivers have just been challenged all week long with just trying to replicate the racing conditions. Unless you got a pretty big team and can get in a session to run, it's just been hard to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Patrick Gitter and the EPI guys, they definitely have a pretty good bit of resources when it comes to, mobilizing the team. So definitely seems like it's paying off. Pace car, of course, down pit road. Brian Johnson, though, going to lead us to green. There it is. Green flag is out. Top line just did not get going. You can see that it held up Brandon Paslacqua and Kenny Powell. And Miller Bonds just might have had a golden opportunity here if he can clear Patrick Gitter.
Yeah, Miller Bonds just being in the right place at the right time. Like you said, Patrick Gitter just didn't get going fast enough. I think he kind of got caught sleeping a little bit. But, you understand that if a guy's usually used to setting the pace right there, it might be a little bit more difficult to judge someone else's. But, hey, once again, Miller Bonds is actually able to pull up to third place, so that's going to be good for that team, starting all the way back in ninth. Brian Johnson's going to go ahead and get himself a lead lap in this competition, which is going to work out really good in his favor.
And you can see once again, I think Patrick Gitter just not really trying to catch up and lead laps here. But here comes a big run, though, from Brandon Poslacco up on top. Look at that. Schaffner takes him 3 wide as Kenny Powell kind of stuck behind Patrick Gitter. But Gitter is prioritizing the long run. I love what I'm seeing here. He's just showing a tremendous amount of patience. I mean, he knows he's long. I think he's more long-term minded, and you got to respect that.
Yeah, but the question is how many other drivers actually see what he's doing. That's the question. Now it looks like Miller Bonds is going to relinquish the lead. It's like right now it's like hot potato. Nobody wants to be in the lead, Brian. You take the lead. No, you take the lead.
That's what it seems like. That's for sure. Brian Johnson, of course, is possibly, I think he's going to lead this lap, able to just get clear of Miller Bonds. And, of course, we see Brandon Poslacco trying to work his way back up to the lead. He led the majority of the laps of stage number 1. He's running the absolute top side. Now, I think that top side's burning up tires, but you can see he's definitely utilizing it as he makes a big run to the inside of Miller Bonds. And look at the 6 go.
Well, is it the fact that the 6 is going, or is it the fact that so many others are lifting? I mean, I think everybody is just trying to conserve, and it's, to the detriment of the lap times.
Yeah, definitely seems like it. Here comes Miller Bonds, so back to the inside. We're going to go 3 wide for the lead. As Brian Johnson, I do believe, did not want to be in that position. He lifted a hair, and now he goes side by side with his brother Chris.
This itself is going to turn. This itself is in turn going to be problematic because right now it just seems like so many drivers are lifting.
And kind of going back to what we were talking about in stage number 1 about non-playoff drivers really impacting the results of the race. Miller Bond's not a playoff driver, and he's driving like he is one. I mean, he's definitely looking fast. Loving what I'm seeing here. But you got to think that the other drivers are like, man, that's a possible point that I could be getting that Miller Bonds has taken away. Now, he's allowed, and there's nothing against doing what he's doing, but you got to say, I mean, what would it be like if Bonds was in the playoffs? I think I look forward to next season. You talked about looking forward to next season. I look forward to seeing what that 12 does when he is a playoff driver.
Yeah, I definitely hope that he sticks with us, man, and comes back, because the only reason that Miller Bonds is not a playoff driver is because he showed up to the season so late. But yeah, definitely got a lot of hopes there for that 12 car.
100%. Kenny Powell, though, up in the top 5. He's looking really good here tonight at Kansas. Definitely driving his way up through the field. This is definitely going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Of course, Powell trying to move up to 4th, and I think he's going to take that position. He gets a big run up to the back end of the 99. Also, a little bit further back, we have some battling, I do believe, between the 89 and the 64. That is for, I do believe, the 10th place position. Charles Joplin and Darren Mullins have been trading that position back and forth. Also, I do believe the 127 of Greg Newsom is up in 12th right now. Now, Greg Newsom, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he start in last?
Yes, he did. He started in 25th. But also we're watching J.C. Evans and also I do believe, wait for it, Randy Mullins, because these are 2 playoff drivers that are really kind of deep in the pack back, surrounded by cars that are not playoff drivers. So
this is weird.
Whoa, you see what I see? The 12 car really falling back.
Where did he? Yeah, I mean, he was up in the top 5, and now he's back here outside of the top 10. We got to take a look back and see what happened here.
No, I think he heard what you said. I think you kind of like made it seem like he couldn't be up front contending for positions because he wasn't a playoff driver. You punked him.
No, I think more like we saw some contact here. I'm looking right here. We see the 12 right here side by side with the 24 of Kenny Powell. I think there might have been something that went wrong. And look, yeah, they go. They get connected into turn 1. Powell's, he, of course, does not suffer quite as much as a result. And then secondary contact again. They were almost 4 wide, Big Al. They did go 4 wide. Look at this. More contact. J.C. Evans, I think maybe you can see. Look at this. I mean, he lost so many positions as a result of that contact with Powell.
And that's a talking point because that's
Glad we
exactly
noticed
what we were talking about. But that's exactly what we were talking about happening early on. Is that non-playoff driver that gets up, and in this case, he got in a skirmish with not one but two playoff drivers. So, he probably won't be getting any fan mail or Christmas cards from those guys. But I just think it's just something else we're going to have to focus on.
I don't think that was I wouldn't say that was his fault, not in the slightest. As he's getting close to having more contact here as he's battling the middle 3 wide with J.C. Evans. I feel like Powell kind of went up the track and got a little tight on him. I don't think that was necessarily Miller Bonds' fault. I think he was holding his line. But still, I mean, it's just the fact that he, a lot of these guys that are playoff drivers probably don't feel like he should be out here racing these guys like that. But I wholeheartedly support Miller Bonds out here racing. He's fast. He deserves to be out here racing with these guys. And just because you've got that yellow banner doesn't mean, that you're the king,
Well, that's going to be, half the people are going to agree with you. The other half are not going to agree. And I think that's just going to be an argument for the ages. But I don't think we're going to solve that one here tonight. Brandon Pasalacqua, though, continues to lead this thing. And finally, he's stretching his legs out a little bit.
100%. He's definitely out there. But do you want to stretch your legs? I think is the question. I mean, because Patrick Gitter fell back to 7th. He's now back up to 2nd. So we're going to have to see how this all plays out. Is Pasalacqua, does he have tire saving more in mind at the moment? As I do believe have 20 laps to go here next time by.
Yeah, and I think the key, too, is that Gitter knows exactly how fast he needs to go per lap in order to save tires. And that's another thing. Yeah, if these other guys are just kind of guessing, because I don't know if people came into this with tire saving in mind. Very, very rarely do we talk to drivers and they say, well, yeah, I really figured that, at lap 12, I was going to need to back off and start saving time. It's never that. It's always, I turn my tires up, because that's what most guys will even attest that that's the number one thing they do is they go and burn their tires up.
I want to look at this Miller Bonds. He was back in, 13th? He fell outside of the top 10 as a result of that contact with Kenny Powell. He's driving his way up to 8th right now, and he looks like a man on a mission. He looks like a man on a mission. I don't know if he wants to catch that 24 or what's going on here, but I don't know if it's nefarious. We're going to get to see here as Powell's actually a little bit slower on the bottom. Looking at the cockpit count of Miller Bonds, but you can see this guy is on a rail right now.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, Brian, it's going to make me leery because, once again, all of those drivers that he is running up in there amongst are all kind of yellow banner cars.
Yeah, for sure, as he gets on the inside of Powell. Of course, him and Powell do have a little bit of history here, and Powell comes down to block him. I'm sure Bonds is not very happy here with the 24.
Well, yeah, because he's kind of herding Powell like a cattle. He's herding Powell right into Matt DeCiani, and I don't think Powell likes that. Even though he's not really pushing him, his presence, though, is kind of causing the 24 car to kind of slide up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're starting to see possibly a rivalry developing here on the racetrack. Patrick Gitter, though, side by side for the lead with Brandon Pasalacqua. They still have not settled that.
Oh, it's going to be settled. I think it's going to get settled here pretty quick.
What a race we have seen thus far. I mean, this has been really exciting. A lot of side-by-side. I mean, all race we've seen some side-by-side. Kansas always puts on a good show. I love this racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. We are not being let down tonight here for performance or competition. This being a playoff race, having all of the implications of such. And it's just been a very interesting run here, Brian. We've still got a lot of those yellow banner cars that are not in the top 10, and they're losing out on valuable opportunity to get playoff points.
That they are, and that's going to be really big. They're going to add up as the run goes on, or as the season goes on. So it looks like we might have a little bit of a guest. I know I did talk to Al a little bit before the race, and he said something about, oh, if I get wrecked out, I'll join the booth. I didn't see you get wrecked out. What happened?
I loaded in a qualifying setup and didn't switch setups.
Oh, my word. Come on now. You at least
mistake.
made it to 60 laps in. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to start wrecking people, so I got out.
Well, that's we're definitely glad to have you up here, though. Any thoughts on what's been happening?
It looks like it's pretty good. I mean, there's been a couple 3 wides that we were able to successfully pull off. I mean, the track is nice and cool. I mean, these guys are running some pretty good laps. It's pretty tight, really. When you see the whole field is, what, second and a half apart from each other, from the leader to the last car, that's not bad.
No, it's definitely been some exciting racing. We've seen a little bit of drama start to unfold as well. Of course, we do see some battling. I do believe the 54 of Randy Mullins right side by side with Charles Joplin. Charles Joplin's, of course, been on the edge of the top 10 all race. The driver we haven't talked a whole lot about, Greg Wychinski. He's up to 14th right now. But Patrick Gitter back in command of the lead, and he's been showing the best long run so far. Al, any thoughts?
You definitely have to save your tires here. I mean, you can get a lot longer distance on that. When the first pit stop, I knew I was eating mine up. I went too aggressive. You don't want to be on that high side for too long. It eats them up the most. Gitter seems to be riding that low line pretty good and get in and out, and that's a success right there. I mean, that's where he's dominating. I don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, these guys just need to make some changes on their next pit stop, and they may put a hurting on him. But right now, it looks like it's the Gitter show.
Yeah, that next pit stop, though, is going to be key because that's going to be leading us right into potentially green flag pit stops. And I don't really foresee any reason why we're not going to have green flag pit stops here tonight because aside from a earlier caution, this thing's been clean and green here so far tonight.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And also, I think maybe not even adjustments to the race car is what these other drivers need to keep up with Gitter. I think an adjustment to what their mindset on the way they drive the race car. Because I think a lot of these guys are so focused on the short term, like, oh, I need to lead this lap. I need to lead all these laps, but really you don't need to. And I think Brian Johnson might be wise to it. Because, I mean, he is now starting to put some pressure on Gitter here. I think Brian has realized, hey, I need to focus on the longer runs.
But also, though, to what Mr. Kozlowski said, Brian's trying to do it from the high side. Gitter is dominating by doing it on the low side, and that's what's actually saving tires as he does go to throw an inadvertent block to the 4-car.
Yeah, he actually touched the wall a little bit there. Here comes Josh Schopner, though, known for being able to drive longer runs here. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to do something. Yeah, I think the bottom is saving tires for these drivers. I know the top a lot of times is faster, but on the longer runs, probably not. So definitely going to have to keep that in mind. I think these guys are learning some lessons.
It's almost a mixture of the top and the bottom. I mean, you start to push a little bit on the bottom, so you kind of ride that middle a little bit. I like the high line. I mean, that high line, if you ride it right, you can get the most speed off of it, but it does eat your right front up pretty bad.
Yeah, Schaffner looks like he got a little bit tight there on the low side. Actually wanted to slide up a little bit, the older car did, so that kind of cost him, but he is still holding his own there right now, currently in 3rd place.
Yeah, also we see, of course, Chris Johnson trying to take that 3rd spot away, and so they get really close. Also, Matt DeCiani, I do believe this is the first time he's been in the top 5 all race long. He has been gradually inching his way closer to the front all race long, and I expected him to be fast, and I think he's showing it right here.
It seemed like he was actually having handling woes as this thing started. So either they made some adjustments or, like you said, he adjusted the way he's driving the car. But he's actually found some speed as he is into the top 5 here and actually looks like he's trying to make it stick this time.
Well, you see these guys are bouncing all over the place away from each other. They're not nose to tail. It's because that draft, when it pushes on that front end, it makes you really tight, like you're bulldozing.
Yeah, and you see it right there. I mean, Chris Johnson just had a couple hits on the wall there, grazing it, kicking some smoke up there. And also keep in mind, guys, I don't know if y'all realize, we had an update yesterday that was pretty big on damage model. So I'm wondering if that impacts these race cars quite a bit.
Oh, I bet you it does. I mean, that's why we look forward to the updates. At the end of the season, those being the biggest updates of all. So, yeah, definitely look forward to a whole lot of different handling characteristics, damage characteristics. Yeah, this car is definitely not the same car it was last Thursday.
Now, I don't think it impacts the setups. I think like the race car setups, I don't think it impacts them, but the damage. So if you hit the wall and scrape it, I mean, more pieces are going to come off the race car now, from what I've heard. So like you could actually, the tire can come flying off and stuff like that. So it's a lot more intricate. So I'm curious to see what that does for longevity. If you hit the wall, just a little graze, what does that do? You know?
It might bend a toe link. I mean, I know we've been speaking before about breaking a toe link. It might bend it, and bending it is almost as worse as breaking it, you know, because you lose your steering. I mean, you have to turn in a lot more, and this is a track, it's 1.5 miles, but it's pretty fast. So you've got to get your lifting points and your acceleration off the corners just right. When that toe link is broke, whether it's a front or a back, it kind of hurts at it.
Here comes Josh Schaffner. He's been pretty much running the bottom for a long time. He's going to be challenging Brian Johnson. Johnson has been catching up to Patrick Gitter, but running that top side seems to be making that car very, very loose, which is interesting to say the least. And of course, you see Schaffner. He's been running the bottom. I think he's taken some pages out of Patrick Gitter's book. You see a slow car on the bottom. That is Derek Jacobs, and he's coming to pit road, short pitting the stage. Very interesting decision there. Of course, he is already, I do believe, a lap down. So that is, of course, not going to be really a successful strategy. I think he's coming down there probably from necessity, maybe burn the equipment up, something wrong with the race car.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually short pitting the stage. I think it was more of him, trying to get out of the way.
Could be definitely the case. Definitely interesting to see that for sure as we see the battle tightening up still for second place. Chris Johnson is catching up to brother Brian. Brian just seems like he is having some trouble with that race car right now. So a lot of these guys, I guarantee, are lining up those judgments. Oh, Schaffner into the outside wall a little bit there. As we, I do believe, come to the white flag this next time by as Patrick Gitter drives away almost a second gap.
Well, most of us, we use the first and second stage as kind of a learning. What do we need to do? I mean, we make adjustments after the first stage, and sometimes those are great. Sometimes you need more. So whatever changes they make on this next pit stop, we're probably going to see more aggressive and more ability to drive around these guys.
Yeah, and I think that was just Patrick Gitter's way of just showing the rest of the field exactly what they're playing with. I mean, he is driving away effortlessly, and everybody else is kind of struggling. So definitely look forward to seeing a lot of guys getting back there, trying to make some adjustments, going to the drawing board. But I think the 21 car got it figured out.
No, he definitely does. And it's probably he's got a good setup underneath him, and also he's a good driver as the yellow flag comes out, and he wins stage number 2. This is, of course, he's got quite a streak going. He won stage 1 and 2 in Darlington, and he won the race. So could we see a repeat winner here tonight? Of course, he has already locked himself into the next round. Brian Johnson, of course, in second place. Chris Johnson third. Josh Schaffner fourth. Matt DeCiani in fifth. Brandon Passalacqua sixth. Jeffrey Souza seventh. Miller Bonds up to eighth. Ninth place, Randy Mullins. I think that's the first time we've seen him in the top 10. Going to get some points there. Charles Joplin finished in 10th in the last stage as well, so he's very consistent here tonight. We'll go ahead and take a brief step away. We're right back with whoever Big Al would like to talk to.
Kenny didn't get no point.
Speed training. It's how Advanced Auto Parts trains our staff to get you the right part even faster. Not bad. The parts you need, even faster. Advanced Auto Parts. Service is our best part. Next!
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, they are completing their yellow flag pit stops right now to get stage 3 underway. Of course, in just a moment, once they complete these pit stops, we're going to be talking to Brian Johnson, who comes off, I do believe, second place off of pit road. Of course, Patrick Gitter, winner of stage 1 and 2, comes off in first. So going to definitely be lining himself up for a strong stage 3 here, but definitely going to be interesting to see what pit strategy is going to look like. But I do believe Big Al is going to be standing by here in just a moment with Brian Johnson.
Hey, Brian Johnson, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, guys, gotcha.
Hey, man, congratulations on a second place finish of stage 2. The question that I got, how is it down there on this racetrack tonight?
It's not too bad. It really depends on how you drive your car. I was getting a little bit free that run, but, the car's fast. As long as I keep the rear tires on it, I think we got to run at this thing.
Okay, good deal. Racetrack's cooling down quite a bit. The lack of or availability to have like long-term competitive racing, how do you think that's affect your preparation for this race tonight?
Oh, it didn't affect it at all. Thanks to my teammates. We practiced all week and worked on a setup, put one together, tweaked on it all week. So it didn't affect us at all.
All right. So does the cooler track temperature, is that going to have any impact on you? Or you think you're good to go here for this thing?
Yeah, it should tighten me up just a little bit. So that's what I'm banking on. So we'll see what she does this last stint here.
And last thing, man, but I'm just curious. Do you have a green flag pit strategy?
Whatever the leader does.
Okay. Well, roger that, man. I'm going to let you get back to it before I let you go here. Who you going to shout out to for your second place finish?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the guys back at G&G, Josh, Chris, Brandon, all those guys practiced all week preparing for this. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to Southern Spiral Pipe and you guys up in the booth.
Man, that's always a pleasure and good luck to you.
Yeah, man.
Alrighty, that was Brian Johnson, driver of the 4 machine. Definitely really good run. I mean, he had a little bit of a loose condition there, but still was able to come up with a solid second place finish. What do you guys think that those guys are going to have to do here? I mean, maybe we see that a lot of the G&G camp has been battling each other. Do you think that's maybe a mistake, or? I
don't think they're necessarily battling each other. I think they're just looking for clean air. I think that's more. It looks like they're battling each other, but I think they're just trying to find the path of least the resistance for the car. My one thing, though, is I hate to make it seem like it's such dire circumstances, but there's a lot of guys that have not been capitalizing on these stage points, man, and that's going to do them a disservice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you got Randy Mullins, who just was able to get stage points there in stage 2. Wasn't really a factor in stage 1. So that's going to be a big deal as well. Greg Wachinski didn't get any stage points. He needs to really put something together here. He's going to be definitely in somewhat of a dire straits here if he doesn't get some stage points in the next race or two.
Lights are off on the pace car. He's going to be getting up and out of the way, man. And then we're going to be getting ready to go for hopefully our longest green flag run of the evening. And maybe that will, even if we're lucky, lead us straight to green flag pit stops.
Definitely could be the case here as we wait for these guys to enter the Geico restart zone. And the green flag is out. Patrick Gitter wasting no time to get up to the gears. Of course, just a reminder, fuel window 60 laps here, and of course these guys, I do believe, have 2 sets of tires left as well, so not a whole lot of room for wiggling here with strategy, as I think a lot of these guys are probably going to be taking a little bit easier here in stage 3.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're going to be going longer than 25 laps, guys, and that's like a no man's zone. They don't have any idea what the car is going to do at that point, so they're probably going to take it easy, I would guess, for about 10, 15 laps and let everybody else eat their equipment up and slowly come through. I surely know that Schaffner and Chris and Brian Johnson and Brandon are probably going to be doing that. There's no need to hurry up and get out there, but you got to still have the pressure on Gitter. You don't want him to believe that, he's got an easy road ahead of him. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to find some stuff out.
Well, we're definitely finding some aggressive nature. Go ahead, Big Al. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gitter's definitely going to probably take it easy, but further back in the pack, that's what I was thinking we were getting ready to talk about. There's a lot of dynamics unfolding there because some guys are wanting to go and some guys still haven't figured it out yet, which is leading to like 3 and 4 round racing.
That's what I was saying. Like, I was getting ready to say Miller Bonds apparently not saving at all. He's just like, he drove through the middle 3 wide. He's been really driving his way forward. Also, I do believe we got Randy Mullins. He's up to 6. He's been moving forward. You can see Matt DeCiani. I think he's got saving in mind. He's fallen back. I mean, he restarted, I do believe, up in the top 5. He's back in 10th right now. Schaffner, of course, new leader. And here comes Kenny Powell to the inside of Randy Mullins.
Yeah, DeCiani was falling like my grades in that second semester. But the funny thing about it is between Kenny Powell and Miller Bonds, at the end of this thing, either Powell's going to love him or hate him because Bonds has been all over him this entire event, man. And that's, either that works your nerves or just makes you fun. But halfway through this thing, a whole lot of dynamics that are unfolding for us.
A lot of those drivers out there have that yellow stripe on. They're racing for the championship, and you got to give somewhat of respect, but you don't need to fold under pressure. I mean, you still are racing. I mean, a win's a win. Just like in NASCAR, you're not going to just let 10 drivers race it and you just fall back there and watch it. I mean, you're going to get in the mix and show them what you're made of.
No, 100%. No, I agree totally. I mean, we were kind of touching on that a little bit during stage 1 and 2. That these guys still have. They deserve to be out here. Even though they're not playoff drivers, they're still going to be trying to get a win. I mean, you're not going to lay down. This is not the kind of series where guys are just going to lay down and let you go just because you got a yellow banner on your car,
Is Wachinski a playoff driver?
Yes, Greg is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, he does not have a banner on the car.
I know on my screen he does, because I did a little bit of a preparing here just to make sure, because they were asked, all the playoff drivers were asked to put banners in their cars, but some just didn't and forgot. But of course, as a redundancy, I was asked to put it on there for them, and of course I have it on our broadcast, so that is at least helpful.
Perfect. I can see that too. I can see right there on the broadcast he's got a yellow banner. Yeah,
for sure. So that was one good thing about Kenny Powell. He just wanted to make sure we had a redundancy. Because some guys, you get busy in life. You forget to put that banner on there. But, I mean, it also helps our audience, keep track of who is a playoff driver and who's not.
But the banner makes a huge difference. But, Mr. Keselowski, the question that we are never going to be able to solve, do you have respect for that guy that has a yellow banner on his car? If you don't,
I have a little respect. I mean, I'll be a little bit more cautious because I don't want to be the one that wrecks him. You know what I mean? But again, I'm not going to just pull over and hit the brakes and let them get by. Unless they're extreme. If they caught me 4 seconds back, I'm definitely going to do that. But I'm not just going to fold on them. I mean, like these guys, I don't expect any of these drivers to. I mean, we have a top class set field here. I mean, and nobody in here is a slouch. I mean, everybody in here is championship contenders. So they're going to be racing for a win. I mean, the good thing about being competitive is if you win a race and you're not in the championship, you have just taken an opportunity for a championship contender to get ahead of everybody else. So you still want a competitiveness nature within. So I'm going to be kind of courteous, but I'm not going to be 100% laying down.
No, I mean, if you have an opportunity to win, I mean, just like in real NASCAR, you got 16 drivers going for a playoff thing, but I mean, a win for a team that doesn't do so good, that it, doesn't usually perform very well, that could turn the whole team around. So, and I think a lot of that, the same thing could be said in iRacing, even though maybe it's not about funding and things like that in iRacing, but it still changes your mindset. It builds confidence. Like a driver that never wins. Charles Joplin, a Frank Flores.
You're saying a stage win?
I think Frank is a playoff driver, though. No, I'm talking about an actual win, a win itself, like getting a victory.
The race.
A victory changes your mindset. It changes your confidence level, everything.
So what about a stage win?
Well, that does the same thing, but to a lesser degree.
I'm
So
not
you understand what
so
I'm asking? Because
interested.
I'm saying is, if we're going down to the stage wire here, and this guy's not even in the playoffs, and he's in there running me for a stage win or a stage, fifth place, like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I guess is a direct
I mean, it's
question.
a race. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like it's we're racing. That's the thing about racing is the best man's going to win, no matter what kind of banner you got on your car.
All right, so we're here to race. That's what I'm talking about.
We see some pretty close racing there from Greg Wachinski, and I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Charles Joplin. They're battling at the moment.
Yeah, in the 89 car, Charles Joplin now seems to have his legs underneath him because that car is running consistently faster than it's run all night. Caution's out.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking around to see what happened. I didn't touch anything.
And I'm not sure what happened here. I'm looking back. I went to the previous incident. I think it might have something to do possibly the 77 of Ryan Strunk, maybe? Looking here, and he tries to go 3 wide underneath. Wachinski gets loose.
Yeah, there it
and
is.
spins it. Look at that. He does about a 720 there, guys. 10 out of 10.
A girl wet.
Yep.
And he didn't hit
I'll give
anything.
that one.
Got to be impressed with that.
Yeah, I think that's going to cost them is a set of tires. So that team can consider themselves to be very fortunate. And, man, that was an incident where 3 playoff drivers were literally side by side right there.
And this is going to change quite a bit as well. Do guys come down pit road and take that set of tires? We're not in the fuel window yet, guys.
No, I don't think come down.
No. I mean, you may come in and get some fuel, but I highly doubt you're.
Yeah,
Maybe if you're
I'm
21st
staying
or
out.
something like that.
Yeah, I'm not risking the position right here.
Here we go. We got a lot of guys that are going to be filing down. We're going to keep an eye on the jack stands.
And that's why we're up here in the booth.
Yeah, I don't think that was a good idea on their part because now they got a short pit. I mean, what are we, 70 laps away?
Yep, and fuel window is
72
60.
to go. It'll be 70 at the line.
Now,
Yeah,
I
so
do
they're gonna
expect
have to
Ryan
short-
Strunk. Ryan Strunk's going to take tires, definitely. He spun 3 times. I mean,
I don't think he has a choice. But for the other drivers that did, I don't know. I think this is it's an interesting dynamic, and all of these guys are taking tires. I guess they're figuring they got nothing to lose. But I don't think you can finish the race on that set of tires.
oh, and
I
look
don't
at
know if
this.
they're really worried about it.
Big win off of pit road. I do believe that is Darren Mullins coming off of pit road first. I'm going to see pit times here to see how long he spent in his box.
Well, they probably came in to make adjustments, guys. I mean, remember we talked about that earlier. The adjustments, they probably made some adjustments and didn't like them.
18-1.
So he spent.
That's what I'm seeing. 18-1 for Darren Mullins.
I would assume he did not take tires.
That'd be a tire stop.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
That's an ATVO issue, probably, Brian.
It could very well be. I'm looking at the data here. 14.75 in the box. I'm wondering. He might have possibly, because he's not in the lead right now as well. No, he is. He is out front right now. This is kind of interesting here.
Sousa
I wonder maybe he didn't. Now, I was talking about Darren Mullins. I'm wondering maybe he didn't get into his box. I'm not sure what happened here, but we see, Jeffrey Sousa is actually. No, that's true. You're right. I'm sorry. I was completely mistaken there. We have Jeffrey Sousa is actually in the lead, so I was kind of thrown off. Some guys did not go down. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got Sousa, Matt DeCiani, Charles Joplin, Greg Newsom, and Randy Belt did not pit.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, guys. These guys are going to be on old tires. And tire fall-off has been somewhat significant, I'd say. About a second of fall-off.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Watch these guys that didn't pit. Watch what happens. It's a roadblock.
Could lead to more cautions as well.
But in their defense, they'll be on a different pit sequence, which means they'll have fresher tires towards the end of this thing.
No, I respect the move. I like what I'm seeing from those guys to do that. I mean, you're going to have that extra set, and if we have more cautions, you're going to look like a genius because you'll have more. You'll be able to take a set later if we have a late race caution. And also, who's to say we don't have a 10-lap run? The caution comes out, they come down then, and they're good on fuel too.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking, Brian. That's probably, it might be wise. I don't know. We'll find out.
Definitely will be. Of course, these could even see some wheel spin. I know these next gens are kind of bad about that, especially at tracks like this. Pace car lights are out, though. We're getting ready to go green here in just a moment. Jeffrey Souza, for the first time, is going to be up in the lead. Matt DeCiani, he was faster on the long runs. He was also saving tire, so this could be interesting, to say the least. Charles Joplin, he's been top 10 car, but I don't know if he's top 3 car right now. This is kind of an unknown. This is going to be a little bit of a minefield for drivers like
problematic.
It is.
And you got drivers who've never been in the draft, you know, that's going to be a hell of a problem. I mean, let's see how Gitter, Pasalacqua, and Powell and all those deal with this situation.
Well, Powell's been back there. He's been hanging out in traffic all night. And Gitter's fallen back a little bit, too. It's just going to be their patience level, I think, of dealing with the guys that are in front of them on the older tires.
100%. No, it's going to be. I think this is bad for Patrick Gitter, who has the best long run speed, I do believe, and this is bad for him. You know, to be in this draft, have to deal with these lap cars, and also to have to still pit. You know, and here we go though. We're getting ready to find out. Pace car has dipped down pit road. We're going to enter the Geico restart zone, and Jeffrey Souza up to the gears as the green flag is back out and underway, and we see 3 wide already, and we haven't even entered turn 1.
And that's the problematic part.
Yeah, they're going to eat their tires up trying to get back up to the lead, and then they're going to have a problem. So we'll find out who's got the patience and who's got the mentality of, hey, I'll get up there eventually. I'm just going to take care of my equipment. But look, these guys are 3 wide all over the place.
Almost 4 wide. We were close to being 4 wide as we see John Schaffner, I do believe first driver on the newer tires. He's cutting through the field. Oh, Miller Bonds, big loose condition. No caution. How did he save that? I thought he was gone.
That was a great save. That was a great save.
You got to turn back the clock and look back at that one.
The one thing you hate is that big loose condition.
Taking a look right here, he was on the bottom 3 wide, coming out of turn 4. Oh, and that was actually based on contact. I believe that was Randy Belk. Randy Belk.
Randy Belk, another one of those drivers that did not pit under that last caution. Not saying that was, you know, a contributing factor, but it was definitely present.
I'm surprised at how good Jeffrey Souza, Matt DeCiani, and Charles Joplin are hanging on right now. They're staying up in the top 3, but I don't know for how long. I think you can see Schaffner, Randy Mullins are coming, and also Greg Newsom up in the top 6. Gotta love that. I haven't seen it. I do believe Greg Newsom, if not mistaken, started in last. No. But still a lot of battling, definitely a lot of chaos here at Kansas as the fuel window will be opening up in about 5 laps.
Yeah, and for some drivers, that's going to be pretty dang important, Brian.
Especially if we see a caution, which is likely with the older tires here.
But even the guys that did pit before, they're still not cleared to the end, so this is all going to be interesting.
I see Chris Johnson up there. I just don't see Brian. Where did he end up?
He's back in 18th. He actually had a long stop. I do believe was getting some damage repaired. He spent 30 seconds in the box. So I think that a lot, you know, that caused him to lose quite a bit of positions. He's back in 18th at the moment, right behind Miller Bonds.
You know, I always find it interesting how these guys will go on the front stretch and go on that lower apron, and nobody forces them to stay down there. It's kind of a courteous thing. They just give them enough room to get back up on the surface of the racetrack. I always feel like I want to just hold you down there. I mean, you went down there, I'm right here. I'm not going to let you back up.
No, that's a good point. I mean, you don't have to let that driver come back up. I mean, it's kind of a courteous thing. I'm, you know, seeing a big battle. Kenny Powell battling what I do believe Patrick Gitter. Now, Powell has been mighty brave. One thing I do not recommend about Kansas is a lot like Chicagoland. You don't, when you go down on their apron, you don't put just 2 tires down there. You got to pretty much be either 4 or none.
Commit.
You got to commit because you'll spin out if you only put 2 tires down there. I've been seeing Powell kind of towing that line.
But I think he might know that rhythm, but there's some tracks where those are 2 completely different surfaces.
Oh, they are. They are at this track too. I just think he's got good control of the race car. Jeffrey Souza staying in the lead. This makes me think that maybe tires aren't wearing quite as much as we thought they were. Souza has control of the clean air. Of course, Schaffner has been gradually working his way closer to the lead. But I think maybe just Souza has a better car than we thought he did.
Yeah, DeCiani also up there too. He's on that same pit sequence as Souza. But I do believe these guys are slowly starting to come up to their pit window.
I think this call actually was a lot smarter than we kind of suspected as we see DeCiani go up to the absolute top. Clean air, I think, has also got something to do with it for Souza right now. He's kind of keeping that speed. But here comes Schaffner. It's very difficult to pass here. Let's see if Schaffner can make it happen. Look at the big send from Pasalacqua. Also a little bit of contact with the wall there from Chris Johnson, who's in 6th. But here comes Schaffner. He's on the inside going into turn number 3. Does he get clear? And he does.
You know, at this point, you don't want to push it too much. You just want, whoa, a big checkup there in the back. Because I do believe the 23 car.
Yeah, some of these guys need to learn that saving tires does not mean stepping on your brakes. I mean, that really, you can end up getting wrecked by doing that. I avoided that several times, and those that know my driving skill, you do not want to brake in front of me because I'll give you the silver horn that you won't like.
100%. I'm kind of shocked to see where Patrick Gitter is. He's outside of the top 10 right now in 14th. One stage 1 and stage 2, he's kind of fallen back a little bit further than I thought he would be. Wonder if that dirty air, you talked about it, Al Kozlowski, about how dirty air, he hasn't been in a lot of dirty air tonight, and I think he's definitely about what happened here.
Strategy's out of the window, pretty much.
Oh, they're all got to come in and take tires and fuel.
Everybody. Yeah, you gain nothing by staying out at this point in the game. Even if you're one of those guys that just came in previously, I think at this point you still have to come down. Am I wrong on that?
I'm having a tough time finding where the caution happened.
I think you're right on that, Al. I think they've got to come in. Oh. I mean, you can. There it is.
J.C. Evans.
Yeah, J.C. was involved in a little bit of a scuffle earlier where he didn't seem to have too much contact. Is the 29 with him on that?
I think, yeah, something to do with Mark Sanchez. I think you see Evans was running up at the top of the racetrack, and look at that. Yeah, Sanchez just went up there and hit him.
Yeah, Sanchez has been having some handling woes. I've been watching him a little bit tonight.
There was a lot of evasive maneuvers there for some drivers. Let's take another look at that.
Mark Sanchez, J.C. Evans, and Greg Newsom all receiving the dirty meatball flag.
Now let's take another look at this accident here. You see, J.C. Evans just up at the top minding his own business. I don't think he did anything wrong here. He's holding his line. And look at this. Well, I think maybe the 9 came down a little bit. They met in the middle. But look at this. Big accident there. I do believe that is the 127 of Greg Newsom.
Yep. That was Mr. Newsom.
And look at this.
Pit road really busy. Looks like everybody came down. Roger that.
I want to see this here from Newsom. I mean, just bad luck right here. Had to go through the middle there. Could not predict where these guys were going to be going. I mean, just unfortunately, you see why he got a.
Oh, look at his car. He just lost his right front quarter panel.
That's that new damage model right there, fellas.
Uh-huh. Curious to find out if he would have lost that on the track and somebody would have ran it over, would it have caused damage to their car?
Oh, you think maybe cut a tire?
That's an interesting question. I think that would be really interesting to see because that's how in real NASCAR, if you hit something like that, it definitely would do something akin to that. And the sim has just been getting more and more realistic. I love what we're seeing here with iRacing.
Now I'm gonna say this, and I don't want y'all to think any less of me, but somebody has to suggest it. Maybe if Mr. Kozlowski could get in his race car, go back down there and just say run into.
Did he take tires? Did he pit there? We were kind of focused on the accident.
6.1, 60.
Just gas.
Yeah, so the guys up front, 6, and that's all the way back until you get to sixth place. Ryan Strunk was the first one, and he had 10.5 seconds in his box.
So what you're going to have is you're going to have those drivers that just that stayed out the last caution, and they just went in. They're going to be on fresher tires by 15 laps, which is really significant. It's almost 8 to 10% of your tire wear.
And you know, it's kudos to them because they really didn't have the set to spare. So yeah, get back out there, run on the top.
Up there. Let's see how aggressive they get.
This is going to be interesting. I think really it's going to come down to if we go green or not. If we go green, I think Schaffner's in really good position right now because he just took tires.
Do you think we can, though? I mean, that's the question.
This has been
we haven't done it so far.
This has been the most yellow field race of the season, I'd say, to be honest. I mean, we've seen clean racing all season long.
Look at that huge jump Greg Wychinski, the 5-car, did. Congratulations on him. What did he go from 14th to 3rd?
Yeah. That's definitely a good call there. I mean, of course, didn't get stage points, though. That's the thing about it. Hopefully he's going to be able to get, into the race points, though.
Yeah, you got to make
he
it
wins
count
the
one
race.
way or the other.
Yeah, he makes it to the next round, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter about them stage points.
That's right. Here we go. Pace car dipping down pit road as we come, I do believe, to 50, if I'm not mistaken, 53 laps remaining here in this race. And there it is, green flag back out. Chris Johnson choosing the top side. And he rockets away from Randy Mullins. Kevin Zosiak as well up to 3rd at the moment.
That's a good run for him as well. He was back there out of the top 10.
Yeah, 53 laps to go. Still plenty of racing left. 3 wide racing back mid-pack.
That it is. As we see, of course, John Schaffner trying to work his way up through the field. As well as Brandon Passalacqua, I do believe, has gotten up to 7th. So he is now, I do believe, one of the first drivers on newer tires. Matt DeCiani, he was one of the drivers that stayed out on that last time, or the time before, I should say. He is on newer tires now, if I'm not mistaken. He's trying to drive his way up.
Now, DeCiani's been to the front of this thing, he's been to the back of the thing, and now he's mid-pack of this thing. So he's having a little bit of experience everywhere.
That he is. Definitely got a fast race car underneath him as we watch, I do believe, the 64 Darren Mullins. He's also, if I'm not mistaken, a playoff driver, racing with Miller Bonds. Now, he was one of the drivers that got in here a little bit later, so I was not able to put the banner on his race car, but he is in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's good to know.
Also, Shane Parrish, he's back in the conversation somewhat. He's on the lead lap in 15th right now. At one point in this race, he was 2 laps down, Big Al. We kind of talked about it under commercial break. I don't think we actually talked about it during the race, though. He went 2 laps down because of a network issue.
His internet must have malfunctioned on him a little bit, and he went out.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Brian talked it into fruition, and then it happened. So I hope he doesn't jinx little buddy again.
No, I was talking about it as he was blinking, and then he throughputed. So, I mean, I just was talking about it under caution. And, unfortunately. But he's back on the lead lap. I mean, he's up into the 15th position. Good recovery. I mean, he could be multiple laps down still out of the race.
Remember, he started this thing, I do believe, outside pole in P2. Started from the pits, kind of made himself a strategy, went from 18th to 13th, and then he kind of got kicked out. But, yeah, back at it now, swinging hard for the fences, man. You got to love that. Mark Sanchez also got his car repaired. He's back on the racing surface.
Glad to see that for sure. As we see Chris Johnson's making a big run right now. He's up to that 2nd place position. Greg Wychinski holding on to 4th at the moment. These guys on the older tires are doing fairly well, surprisingly. Of course, only came down pretty much for fuel only. Now, of course, got to remember that I do believe that last caution before this actual last one, most recent one, they did pit for tires. A lot of those drivers that did stay out this most recent. So This is, I don't think it was a bad call for those guys just to take fuel only so they know that they can make it to the end.
Yeah, but the situation for them is going to be challenging. Is actually having to muster up the courage to drive that car 60 laps on that set of tires.
Yeah, haven't had a lot of time.
That you did.
Go ahead.
You just got to remember that you got 15 lap older tires on that thing, So I think it looks like it's Mullins in the lead of this thing. Randy, he just took the lead.
Yes, sir. Randy Mullins is your new leader.
Good job, Randy.
Yeah, the 54 has been looking really good here today, and he is well a playoff driver, and he's shown strength, and has gotten really good at driving on the longer runs too. I know earlier in the season he wasn't as good on the longer runs, but definitely seems like he's got that race car feeling pretty good. Darren Mullins' father is up to 4th right now. I do believe he has just gotten by. Actually, no, he's up to 3rd. He just got by Greg Wachinski.
Yeah, we may have a Mullins and Mullins on the podium tonight. That'll be the first time.
Well, the difference is Dad actually took tires and fuel, and Randy only took fuel. So there's about a 15-lap discrepancy between father and son on tires. And hey, wait for it. I don't know if those were all good years.
Well, we'll find out if it's going to be a good year for him.
Yeah, for sure. As we see 3 wide, Ryan Strunk. Oh, Randy Belk getting loose in the center of 3 and 4. And he saves it. Definitely was a scary situation there. There's a lot of scary situations here tonight. You could just tell that we're in the playoffs. These guys definitely are really pushing it as hard as they can here. As we're on lap 124. Coming to 125, the race is definitely flying right on by.
Yeah, man, just 44 laps, 43 laps to go at the line. And one thing, too, that's really fortuitous for us is that we've had different leaders.
Oh, we very much have had a lot of different leaders here. Go ahead, Big Al.
Looks like we're going to be battling for the lead again. Looks like Chris is trying to find his way around Randy. As long as he stays patient, he'll make it. I mean, it was when you lose patience. But in the meantime, here comes Daddy Mullins on the road.
And Daddy's got the freshest tires of everybody at the table.
Yeah, Darren definitely looking very quick right now as he gets a big run to the inside of Chris Johnson. Not quite able to get there. Like you said, I think it's going to take patience for him as well. Got to keep in mind, though, guys, that we're talking about these guys that are on different levels of tires and having to run a 60-lap run to the end. These guys haven't had that opportunity really this week. I mean, NIS competition usually is, not really a good place to practice longer runs, and also no A Opens this week as well.
Yeah, but don't look just yet either because, Darian Mullins is dragging Brandon Pasalacqua along with him, and Brandon also has fresh tires. And then if you thought it was going to get any better, Patrick Gitter's right behind him.
Now, of course, Patrick, I do believe, is on older tires. Now, I do believe he was saving tire in that last run.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
Hate to cut you off, but you said Patrick Gitter was on older tires?
Yeah, I do believe he is. I think he stayed out on that last caution.
Does it matter? I mean, really?
He's been long runs. Matter. He's had a lot of long run speed, and he's been successful at saving all race long. So I don't think it really does. But I'll tell you what's going to matter, guys. We got lap traffic coming up here. Mark Sanchez.
And and so far, every time the leaders have encroached upon a lap car like that, for whatever reason, that car's just gone down pit road. Sanchez is not elected to do that. So for whatever, I mean, this is going to be pretty awesome, in my imagination.
And we're also seeing it start to heat up towards the front. Matt DeCiani is up to 4th right now. We're starting to see 3 wide be a distinct possibility here on the weather forecast. As Darren Mullins has taken the lead, but Pasalacqua, I don't think he's going to want to let him have it for long.
And Pasalacqua is not going to let up right now. He's going to be utilizing whatever momentum he has to kind of push Darren Mullins, because that's going to be the key. I don't think you're going to let them have that luxury that Gitter has where he's just going to kind of lay back and save. I think everybody up at the front is going to be pushing each other, and that's going to cause that degradation in that tire wear to be a little bit more sufficient.
100% correct, Big Ed.
There goes Pasalakwa. He's going to take the lead from Darren Mullins, utilizing that top side. Now, Pasalakwa has been using that all race long to varying degrees of success. Now, of course, he's been really good on the short run with that. See how that how conducive that is to a longer run. Now, of course, stage 1 was 35 laps, guys, and Pasalakwa ran that 35 laps for the most part on the top. Now, it did not seem to work for him. We have more than 35 to go, guys. I don't know if that's going to be a good sign for the 6.
Well, my money's still on the 21.
You still got that one?
I still think the 21 is just, he's back there. He's laying in wait. I mean, he's just that, he's that Wally Gator right now.
I got Matt DeCiani. I think DeCiani, he really has been good he's been really good this year. And long runs, I think that API, I got to be honest, even though I'm a little bit biased, EPI's got a really good long run car, I think, and it's working out for him right now. And I think DeCiani might be it might be his number today.
Well, I'm gonna stick with our leader. I think Brandon,
really?
because he's in the lead of this thing, and he's got all these good drivers behind him, but some of the drivers like Souza and Schaffner and Gitter, they've got to come through. DeCiani and Mullins, and that's not going to be easy. They're not just going to pull over and let you by. They got to pass them, and I think they can use up a lot of tire by doing so. So I think Brandon has got well, it looks like we've got DeCiani is up on the high line, going to try to battle for the lead here. But I think Brandon's got a good strategy, and if he can just hold tight and keep those guys behind him, he'll walk away with it.
Yeah, who's to say we don't get us a late race caution that changes literally everything? I think it's very much possible here tonight, more than it probably has been all season. We haven't, we don't usually, you can't really bet on a late race caution in the ISCA. I think tonight it might be, like I said, more probable.
Yeah, it's definitely probable. But look at how far Randy Mullins has fallen. He has fallen all the way back to 12th place. He's back to at Randy Belk now.
And you can see that. Look at that wiggles. He's not handling very well. You could see that.
I call that the old I didn't save enough tire.
And as a matter of fact, guys, if you look, Patrick Gitter is the only driver that did not take tires that is still in the top 10. Well, Chris Johnson is right there in 10th, but him and Gitter, that's it. Everybody else would have been that took 4 tires. Now, that seems to be making a difference right now.
It definitely is. And Patrick Gitter, though, you got to keep in mind, he can experiment. He won at Darlington. He's good to the next round, guys. And I think that's the key. But he's showing that he's got the skill even on a deficit on tires. The guy's got 7,000 plus I rating. He's earned it. He's that high for a reason.
But I think the biggest takeaway here is it's tires. Tires are going to make the difference tonight. Some drivers were risking it, gambling, not taking tires on that last pit stop, just getting fuel. They got the track position, but at the end, they'll have another set. Should there be another caution? But, if another caution doesn't come out, I don't know how this plays out.
Of course, we haven't been taking the liberty of using some of the cameras that we have here tonight. We have Brendan Pasalakwa. He's got the 6 on his wall there. We can kind of see him driving that 6 machine. You love to see definitely a lot of focus on that 6 machine. And you got to focus at a track like this. You could just, it's very easy to get loose, very easy to get tight, especially, Kansas. It's one of the harder mile and a halves, I'd say. Traditionally you run towards the top, you run at the bottom. And you definitely want to be trying to save tires. So I think he's trying to be as smooth as he possibly can. He knows that this is there's a lot at stake here. I do believe Pasalakwa was the regular season champion. But unfortunately, he is not top of the board right now on points. Patrick Gitter is.
Patrick is a second and a half back from the leaders, so I don't know if that's by design for him, or if he's saving enough tires, or if he actually is having some struggles with that car.
I would assume he's starting to struggle here because you see Brian Johnson's trying to get around on the high side. Now, struggle is a interesting term for Gitter. I don't think he's really struggling. I think comparative to other people, he's struggling right now. Relative, I'd say. He's still in 7th, but we talked about a recovery driver, guys, with Shane Parrish, right? Was 2 laps down. That guy's up to 8th right now. He's coming.
Yeah, and Shane's coming on fresh tires, and that definitely does seem to make the difference. And, yeah, you're right. I think Gitter is struggling just a little bit as he is posting some of the slowest times in the top 10, and that's only going to be a true display of his tires.
Yeah,
the more and more cars get in front of him, the more and more that draft is going to hurt him, and the farther he'll drop back. I mean, if Parrish can get around him, then that's just another car. It's going to be taking that dirty air and throwing it on his front.
Well, I mean, you give Shane Parrish new tires, he's going to be really hard to stop anyway. I mean, Parrish is always so good on the long run. I mean, I think that 66, he might low-key be able to get up there and challenge the lead. I mean, he's right now running some really good laps. I mean, he's catching our leader, DeCiani, even though he's about just a little over 2 seconds back. 2 seconds is that's a lead that you can pull that. You could pull that off.
I think right now you got a lot of guys that are just trying to hold on, and probably half the field is praying for a caution.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these guys are.
I was going to say, DeCiani's starting to have some pressure of his own right now. Pasalacqua has, I don't know if he's got some sort of second wind in that 6 machine.
Oh, he's cooling off them tires. He's staying right every area of the track that DeCiani goes, Pasalacqua is right there behind him. So he's trying to keep that draft to gain more distance between him and Souza in 3rd. So it's helping him.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to run into the tire track. Stay with him. Just cool the tires. Don't really drive it hard. Just stick with him, and then you'll have the resources later to kind of do a dive. You don't have to lead all the laps here this last stage. You just got to lead 1.
And you want to keep that pressure. I mean, DeCiani is not one that's going to fold under pressure. But if you can get enough of an air draft on him, you may get him a little wiggly, and he'll have to lift.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is definitely a track that aero is very, very important. So if he could just push him into the corner a little further, faster than he wants to go.
And the funny thing is, these guys that are at the front now at the end of this thing were not the guys that were really dominating the first 2 stages. But so it kind of goes into what, you both kind of hit on that point. It really matters what you're doing at the end. But stage points are important too, because that's an opportunity just to pick up points. If they're just giving them away, you got to grab as many as you can, in my opinion.
Almost 3 wide here as Shane Parrish is trying to get by Patrick Gitter and Darren Mullins. And it looks like he has got by Gitter. Now here he comes on Darren Mullins. Also Miller Bonds in the fight as well.
Yeah, that's going to put him up on Darren Mullins next.
Oh, whoa, they are so close. Miller Bonds almost just got turned by Shane Parrish. It almost seemed like Bonds wasn't wanting to let Parrish come up.
Bonds doesn't want to give anything. And that's the Alabama in him. I mean, roll tide, go Bonds.
Well, I mean, that actually is funny, Al Kozlowski. You were talking about it earlier, not wanting to let somebody up off the apron. That's what it seemed like he didn't want to do, is he kind of got into the wall just now.
If he's listening, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't let him up. Hell with it. Let him stay down there. They got to figure out how to make that turn.
They got to figure out how to make the turn. They got to learn. Learn them today.
Brandon Pasalacqua has retaken the lead, as well as Josh Schaffner's gotten by DeCiani up to 2nd. So G&G 1-2 right now. As the pressure continues to build, guys. I mean, this is getting pretty intense, as I do believe Souza is now back up into 3rd now.
Yeah, we talk again, and I hate beating this dead horse here, but Gitter is now almost 2.5 seconds behind the leader. He's following.
If we go green from here, guys,
Where did-
Gitter's in a bad spot.
Where did that statement come from? Beating a dead horse. I mean,
I don't know. I
Really?
just said it. So you want to pat?
I know. I'm just wondering though. At some point, who just beats horses? You know what I mean?
Who's beating a
Especially
dead
a
horse?
dead one,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, no, I think
It
that while we're getting off track here, but I think where it comes from is that when you have like you ride a horse, and if it's dead, you're not going to really be going anywhere if you're beating it.
Right.
I think that's kind of where it's kind of a. I think that's what it's kind of supposed to be saying.
Well,
Like
for
if
those of you
you've
that
rode,
follow
you've
those-
rode it to its usefulness has ended, and you're still beating it. You know.
Yeah. So for those of you, please keep it respectful in the comments. But yeah, just tell us what your thoughts are on the horse of beating a dead horse.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh.
Things. I mean.
Let's see where this goes.
I don't know, but here comes Brian Johnson, going to be trying to get by DeCiani. Now, DeCiani, wasn't he on the fresher tires? And he is all of a sudden just falling back like crazy.
You know what he did? He used them up trying to stay in front of Brandon, and Brandon was just kind of riding along. That's what I mean. And it's nothing against those drivers that did that. I've done it several times. You feel like you've gotta stay in the front of these guys, and you use the tires up, and you don't lift as much as you should. I've done it several times, and I've given away several wins by doing it. And it's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Big Al, I don't know where that comes from either, but you just can't teach an old dog new trick.
A dog put that one out there.
Yeah, I mean, you get to feeling like Superman, and I think that's what it is. And it's kind of interesting, though. I was talking about I thought EPI really had the better long run setup, but I really feel like that really came down to Patrick Gitter. I think just in his hands, he's just really good at long run speed, and unfortunately, he just kind of caught himself on the bad side of it. I mean, he had a bad hand right now, and of course, Matt DeCiani just kind of burning him up a little bit.
Strategy call here tonight. I think that's what it came down to.
Well, he could have made some pit road changes that aren't agreeing with his car right now, and he's probably regretting them.
Remember, he didn't take tires though. That was the key thing. Everybody that's running up front, these are the guys that took 4 tires on that last one. Gitter in 8th place. He's the front runner of the dudes that just took fuel.
So
Look at how far Pasalacqua and Schaffner have pulled away from 3rd place.
Yeah,
it's almost
100%.
a second and a half. That's bumper to bumper. That's a strategy. That's teammates right there working together. Pasalacqua's probably telling them, hey, stick on my bumper. Everywhere I go, you go. But it doesn't look like Schaffner wants to stay there. He looks like he wants to lead this thing.
And Pasalacqua into the wall right now.
Look at Shane Parrish go. Side by side with the 14 of Jeffrey Souza. Shane Parrish up to 4th place.
He's coming. I mean, he is very much coming. Very significant recovery from the 66. He's about a second and a half. He's got enough time to get up there. He's coming up to Miller Bonds right now. Now, Bonds has been pretty good on the long run, too, so I think this is going to be a pretty good title fight right now.
Let him go, Miller. Let him go.
Yeah, Miller Bonds is pretty good at letting people by, too, so I think Shane Parrish has better buckle up.
Comes by on the inside. That's going to put Parrish up into 3rd place.
We'll see. I mean, it's hard to pass on that bottom. Can Parrish get it actually completed is the key. I don't think Bonds is going to lay over. I think the best opportunity right here is going to be in 1 and 2 for Parrish. He's going to have to really send it, and still, he's not able to do it. See Bonds just running so good on the top side. Oh, Pasalacqua was really having an issue right now, guys. Pasalacqua was starting to struggle. He's hit the wall a couple times.
Yeah,
They're also
he's
coming up on lap
line.
traffic. Look at this lap traffic that Schaffner's coming up on right now. He's got, I do believe, Charles Joplin right there ahead of him.
With 10 laps to go, this is probably, man, get the pizza. Domino's will deliver it to right where the heck you're sitting. Get your pizza and just watch this finish.
This is not the time to be catching lap traffic with less than 10 laps to go. I guarantee you that. You got to think that Schaffner's going to be having to hope, like, please hold up Miller Bonds.
I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell Miller Bonds is going to get up to him. I mean, we only got, what, 8, 9 laps left? I don't think he's going to make it because Miller's back there with a handful of Shane Parrish behind him, and Shane is wanting by. He's hungry.
Oh, hey, with all these lap traffic, though, with these guys battling so hard, what's to say the likelihood of a late race caution could be the case here? You see, even Charles Joplin and Jacobs are racing each other. I mean, this is getting kind of hairy, fellas, as, of course, they were able to successfully make it by those lap cars. But now 1.5 seconds.
Kudos to those lap cars, guys, because if you think about it, we don't have many. I mean, we just put 16 cars on the lead lap. So that's pretty good from a 25-car starting field. 8 laps to go.
Yeah, Josh Joplin's going away right now.
Yeah, the Iceman has arrived.
That's the farmer in him. That's the corn man. He's, I got the watermelon man. This is the corn man. He's going to make it happen. I'm proud of all my G&G drivers out there putting on a show. Looks like we got, Darren's coming back up a little bit. He just got around Gitter.
You know, though, Josh, I mean, I kind of even mentioned it before. You know, he hasn't been, like, in really winning, I'd say, form recently. But I think that, this is the perfect time to heat up. And I think you even said something about that earlier, Big Al. You said that this is the time to heat up. And I think Schaffner's is finding the right time. And he's going to probably move on to the next round here if he wins this race. It's getting closer and closer to where that's going to be, signed, sealed, and delivered.
All of that matters.
There's going to be a battle for second here with Shane Parrish. I don't think there's going to be a battle for the lead unless the caution comes off.
Man, who wants to see that right now? With 6 laps to go, it'll be 5 at the line. Josh Schaffner, and what a story for him. I mean, started this thing all the way back in 12th place, and no stranger to adversity tonight. Like on the other nights, we think we figured it out that his whole strategy was kind of saving tires to stay relevant. I just hope that he saved enough tonight to be, your winner.
No, I think he's got it. Like Al Kozlowski said, unless a caution comes out, that's pretty much the only thing I think that could take this away from him. But look at Patrick Gitter. Wow, he could see his struggle. The 21, not having the best time right now. He's still trying to battle with Darren Mullins here and Jeffrey Souza. So still an opportunity for something to happen. You got to run out of laps, as you always say, Big Al. Caution could come out and change this entire thing. If you got a set of tires left, I think that they would take them if the caution came out.
Yeah, but that is 5 laps left. I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it's going to benefit you.
Yeah, they won't even heat up.
No.
But I'm going to tell
Caution is out on the racetrack, and that is going to change everything. Josh Schaffner probably is like, what? Come on, guys.
Ooh, I'm going to get some popcorn. It's going to be good.
Yeah, only for those guys that still have a set of tires.
I don't think anybody pits. I think they all stay out. I think it'd be foolish to pit.
Well, I think it's gonna be a pit line. I think you're gonna see certain, like Patrick Gitter. I think he's gonna be that pit line. He has nothing to lose by pitting at this point.
And I'm not sure why the caution came out. I'm trying to find it, guys. I don't know if y'all saw anything.
No, I saw Schaffner get pissed off. That's all I seen.
Oh, very much so.
My career dissipation light illuminated.
I'll be right back, fella.
He's going to get popcorn.
I am not sure. That is a phantom caution.
Something brought the caution out.
Something happened, very much so. Something had to happen. I just don't know what. That is interesting. I guess we'll have to find out after the race. I don't know. I can't see anything that happened here. Alrighty, well, I'm not sure. I think everybody probably is coming to pit road.
Say what?
It looks like some drivers, yeah, I don't know. Haven't seen anybody. Has anybody went to pit road, Big Al?
Yeah, Jeffrey Souza, Patrick Gitter, Chris Johnson, Randy Belt, Matt DeCiani, all those drivers came down.
So it looks like I do believe the top 8 on 54 lap old tires.
I want you to say that again 3 times.
54 lap old tires.
Gonna be a green white.
That's 54 lap old tires, guys. Is there a chance that the guys on new tires make it to, like Souza? I do believe first on new tires right now. I think he can make it up to that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Those guys are going to be, I mean, they're blistered at best. I mean, just think about it. I mean,
all he has to do is take the white flag, and then a caution comes out.
But if a caution doesn't come out, if these guys can just, if it's a foot race, I mean, there ain't no way that the Dusty Crusties even have a chance. On their best day, there's no way 54 lap old tires are going to run against fresh Goodyears.
You got to know that Josh Schaffner is probably livid right now. I mean, I know I would be just in a terrible mood. I'm not even. We couldn't even find what caused the caution. I don't know what caused.
You have his camera?
We did, but we do not. At the beginning of the broadcast, we had it, and now we don't. So I'm not sure what happened that has caused him to not have the camera on.
He probably ripped it off.
I'll tell you what happened.
Wall.
you turned him off. Whatever you did or said turned him off, and he's no longer broadcasting with us. It's your fault.
I'm sure. You just blame me for the caution, too. I threw it.
Did you really?
No. I don't even have the ability to throw it, I don't believe.
I mean, I've thrown a caution in this
You've
league
done that before, yeah.
Inadvertently, that's on my resume. Want to apologize to all the drivers that affected, Chris Severa specifically.
Well, here we go, though. Pace car lights are out. We're going to have a 2-lap shootout, green-white checker, to determine who wins this race. Of course, as I mentioned before, I do believe Jeffrey Souza, first car on the new tires. He's side-by-side with Patrick Gitter, who won Stage 1 and Stage 2.
But you know what? Another great story, too, there, guys. I mean, Shane Parrish, he's right back where he started this thing from. So if ever there were a good news story, I think that's one.
Oh, we'll see how long this lasts. He's on 54 lap old tires along with the other top 8. I mean, this is you guys talked like Al Kozlowski said. I mean, a caution could very well come out. I mean, we could have one of these guys in the top 8 spin out because their tires are so burned up, and then a caution comes out.
We knew it was a high probability of cautions here. I mean, this has been a caution-filled race. We've had 4 cautions aside from the 2 stage cautions, so that should tell you a lot.
It's been a good race, even with the caution, so I'll give them. It's been exciting as the pace car dips down. And here we go, green flag. Boy. Let's see if we have any wheel spin. And look at that, Pasalagua almost spun it just now.
Oh, Paris, yeah. That was a disaster right there. That was like making a bowl of cereal starting with a Coca-Cola.
Here comes, I do believe, Jeffrey Souza. Can he get up there? I don't know. 3 wide. Oh, Miller Bonds almost gets turned. Bonds tight.
Taking a high line. 2 laps to go. The next flag will end it.
White flag is out.
I don't think they got the time, boys.
Josh Schaffner making his way out of turn number 2.
Oh,
Jeffrey Souza, huge run. Look at this run from Souza. I think he got it. I think Souza, can he make? I don't know. Look at the run from Souza through 3 and 4. This is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be close. Souza, he's not going to do it. Schaffner wins this race with a block. He was able to just block him just enough to cut off the run out of 4. What a run for Josh Schaffner.
What a race.
And Josh Schaffner able to hold off the fresh tires and win here in the Papa John's 250 everyone going and giving some congratulatory bumps there to the 50 machine. What a good job for Schaffner on 54 lap old tires. Holds off guy on freshies. You can't make that up, guys.
And look, the closest driver to him was Brandon Pasalacqua, all the way back in 5th place, trying to do the same. So I definitely think that the fresh tires were the call, but Josh Schaffner just had enough to hold them off.
He did. What a run for the 50. We thought it was all. We wrote it off. We wrote it off, guys. I was like, no, ain't no way he's going to be able to hold him.
Don't put us. Don't put me.
You said that. You even said, Big Al, that he's definitely going to catch him.
I never said that.
Okay, well, okay, guys. I was the only one that wrote him off. I was the only one that wrote him off, then, if that's the case. Well, here we go. Josh Schaffner doing a burnout with no tires left, essentially. Now, you think they're going to pop? Well, what a win. Congratulations to him.
You don't care, you know?
That's right. You can't take them with you, right? Let's take a look at the final results here. Josh Schaffner, your winner by 600ths over Jeffrey Souza, 2nd place. Chris Johnson finishes in 3rd. Matt DeCiani in 4th. 5th place, Brandon Pasalacqua. 6th, Patrick Gitter. 7th, Brian Johnson. 8th, Shane Parrish. 9th, Greg Wachinski. 10th, Randy Mullen. Of course, Miller Bonds in 11th. 12th, Kevin Zaziak. And 13th, Kenny Powell.
Randy Belk is in 14th with Ryan Strunk 15th, Aaron Mullen 16th, Derek Jacobs in 17th, Frank Flores in 18th, Jeffrey Ford 19th, Charles Joplin rounding out your top 20. You got Mark Sanchez in 21st, J.C. Evers 22nd, Greg Newsom 23rd, Al Koslowski 24th, and Stephen Thompson rounds out this 25-car field here tonight.
With that, we're going to take a quick step away. We'll be right back with our top 3 finishers, and I think we're going to have definitely some interesting stories to hear. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Speed training. It's how Advanced Auto Parts trains our staff to get to the right part even faster. Not bad. The parts you need, even faster. Advanced Auto Parts. Service is our best part. Next!
Alrighty, we are back. Definitely, what a race! I mean, exciting race here tonight at Kansas. Had quite a few cautions, but I'll tell you what, it was entertaining for us up here in the booth. Of course, we're going to be talking to one of the participants. Had a really strong run tonight. Chris Johnson led 5 laps. Of course, very good finish. Very good, I'd say, second race in the playoffs. Chris, how you feeling? What was the car doing for you? What did you need to do differently?
Well, the car didn't act anything like it did in testing and practice. It was pretty much loose all race, and I had to tighten it up pretty good to get it to stay on track.
What do you think the reason for that was? You think it was the conditions of the racetrack itself, or maybe the dirty air?
Yeah, it could be a number of things. I think it was a mixture between the temperature and the everybody run people running different lines, one high, one low. I know Gitter got close to me and it just threw my car into a loop. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the majority of it was dirty air.
Well, definitely, still a good job for you. You were able to get. Seemed like y'all got the race car feeling pretty good after, towards the end of the race. I mean, strategy seemed to be quite a significant call tonight. I mean, you had guys kind of doing all kinds of different things with those cautions. ISCA usually goes very green. What do you think led to a lot of those cautions? Just maybe the playoffs kind of getting everybody hyped up, or what? Or is it just the racetrack?
Well, I think for this week, the A Open servers aren't open, so it's probably more or less lack of practice, not understanding how the car acts on the long run because you could pretty much flat foot this thing on the short run, but it's a completely different animal on the long run. So it could be a mixture of that. It's kind of a off week for us. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting fact about not having the time to prepare when it comes to the A Opens. Of course, you had the NIS. That was about it. Next week though, Bristol. We're going to be going to the last great Coliseum. I mean, half a mile of you know short track action. One of the fastest short tracks. How do you feel about that track?
Well, I hope I survive. That's about as much as I'm going to say about that. Now, with these group of guys, it should be a pretty good showing.
Oh, we definitely hope so. I think it's going to be an entertaining one to say the least. Well, Chris, after your third place finish, who can we shout out?
Of course, you, Brian, Britt, Big Al, everybody at TWRS uh, made a rocket ship this week. Kenny Powell, Team G&G, Brian, Josh, Brandon, and all the people that make ISCA possible.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for your time, brother. Appreciate the shout outs as well, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, that was Chris Johnson, driver of the 99, finished in third place. Of course, definitely a very good playoff performance here for him today at Kansas. Of course, next up, Big Al's going to be standing by with Jeffrey Souza, who was on the new tires. Big Al, you have the floor.
Jeffrey Souza, Big Al up in the booth. First off, I want to say congratulations to you for bringing home P2 tonight.
Thanks, Big Al. It's great to be talking with you guys. I haven't had a good run in, I don't even know how long it's been, so it's good to be up here back in the booth.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have you back, especially seeing that you're sporting a Ford Mustang, man. That's probably, my favorite car. So this week being a little bit of a different week, how did that affect your strategy and your planning going into this event?
Yeah, to be completely honest, I think it was kind of a benefit to me having some extra time to work on the setup, not really having to focus on getting something down by Monday night for open races. I was telling the guys I was with there with EPI guys that I built this thing. I've been trying to figure it out since Sunday. I've been plowing like a truck basically all week long, even to this afternoon. Made a few big swings on it, and I was struggling to keep it under me for this race. So it ended up working out, though, there with the tires.
At which point in the race do you think you actually got a good handle on it?
Probably never, to be honest, a good handle on it. But overall, on the long runs there, I felt like we had one of the best cars out here. Just if I burnt the car, the car needed a little bit more talent behind the seat. I think that's all it really needed.
Easy now on that one. But the reason why I asked that question is because I was kind of observing, and definitely I could tell through the first stage that it was a lot different handling car for you actually going into the second stage. It seemed like you finally got your legs underneath you, and at that point, it was anybody's race.
Yeah, it's just really worried about burning that right rear off. I've been using different markers this week to try to get off throttle, on throttle, and just trying to manage that on throttle point, not getting too fast onto it. I played with my pedals today, moved them back a little bit, changed some settings on them. So I think we're close to where it needs to be, but there's still a little bit of work that can be done.
Now, are you kind of worried about your playoff stance, or are you confident that you guys got plenty of time to pull it out?
Yeah, I think we'll be good. I think we got a couple tracks coming up here that for us are going to be pretty strong. I know Bristol in the spring, I was really good there, and then the rest of the playoffs I think mostly works up good for us, other than maybe Homestead. So hopefully we'll get some more fast hot rods like this one was tonight, and we're looking forward to it for sure.
Well, the next question I'm going to ask you, I know probably running a little bit long on this, the decision to take tires, was it a no-brainer for you with 5 laps ago when that caution came out? Did you already know what you were going to do, or were you just kind of flying by the seat of your pants?
Yeah, I was honestly just kind of seeing what they were doing in front of us. We saw them all stay out, and I was like, okay, we're going to pit. And I put a little bit of gas in it. I honestly took 2 tires just because why not? I was starting off a little bit tight, so I thought take 2 tires here, loosen me up, and almost had the chance to get to the outside of Josh there, but I didn't want to make it, I didn't want to make it messy coming to the line, so tried to race him clean, and we only got second.
Well, great racemanship on your part, man, because, I think that would have been the call the other day had you just got to the outside and been able to get around them. Next week, we head to Bristol. Completely different than Kansas is definitely. So you hoping that you can at least take this momentum with you next week?
Yeah, that's the hope for sure, because like I said, I haven't had a good run in basically anything in a while. So solid run here overall the whole race. I felt like we were top 5 or so. So solid run here. We'll go off to Bristol, and lastly, I just want to do a big thanks to everyone over there at Triad, especially Brandon Pierce this week, really helping me with my throttle on, throttle points, and then Susan Medians to Analyzer for helping us out every week.
All right, before we let you go, anybody else you want to shout out to after your second place finish?
Yeah, the last people I want to thank is a couple guys in here that are from the EPI team. I don't like being alone for races, and when my guys can't be here, they let me hang out in their chat. So big thanks to them too.
Roger that. Congratulations again, bud, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And as I always say, don't party too hard.
Damn for. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, of course, that was Jeffrey Souza, driver of the 14 machine. Definitely really awesome job there in the last couple laps, able to drive his way up to John Schaffner. Schaffner, though, on 50-plus lap old tires, was able to hold him off Josh. When that caution came out, you probably had to be sweating. Probably was a little bit even angry. We don't even know why the caution came out, to be honest with you. How you feeling?
Yeah, there might have been a few bad words there when that came out, but sometimes that's the way it goes. I think I was in pretty good shape there to finish. Shane was coming. I think we are going to be okay there, but my only hope was I had some teammates up front, and I know that it takes a lap and a half or so for these tires to come in. I thought, well, if I can fire off good, maybe we'll have a shot to hold them off. And Jeffrey was coming one more lap, and I was in trouble, but kind of just took his line off 4 and was able to just kind of drag race him and beat him down the front stretch.
Yeah, it was definitely awesome to see you able to do that. I'll be honest. I got to be completely honest. I was writing you off a little bit. I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to hold off, Jeffrey Souza, but you managed to do it. And you also, even if that caution hadn't came out, I think you were in really good shape to win anyway. Like you said, Shane Parrish was coming, but then again, you had enough of a gap, I think, to pretty much guarantee if it went green that you were going to win. What went all into this? It seemed like you were in more of a winning form tonight than you usually are.
Yeah, it the team at G&G, we put in a little bit of work this week, and the track didn't really race like a practice, so I really kind of used the first stage and a half and kind of maybe figured out what I needed to do in traffic and how to manage the tires and the pace. And that was maybe a little different than what we anticipated. But, a lot of the credit, tonight goes to TWRS and Kenny Coppola. The set he dropped right out of the gate was really phenomenal. And I know a lot of us didn't touch it tonight. I just made one small air pressure adjustment on the right rear. I mean, it's just really minor, but I knew the first time I drove it, this thing was going to be, a winning setup and a winning car. And yeah, I was able to put enough laps and learn enough during the race. And yeah, I won here back in the spring, and it's kind of eerily similar. I wasn't very good in stage one, and kind of just figured out what I was doing wrong and learned, as the race went on. And it was kind of just eerily similar here. Maybe wasn't the dominant car, but we're kind of coming to when the money pays and the points are paid out, we're able to be up front at the right time and put in victory lane. So it's great to get the fourth win of the year. And, we were sitting pretty good in points, but it's nice just to go into Bristol, advance into the next round, and we'll go there next week. And haven't raced there in a long, long time. I don't think I've even ran a race there maybe 2 or 3 years on the concrete. So we'll have to put a little bit of work there and see what we got for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting for sure. And whenever I say like you haven't been in winning form, I don't mean like to insult you at all. What I mean is kind of like you've had a lot of bad luck. You've been in position to possibly get wins, but then somehow something bad happens. It seems to be, but you're heating up. Like I like what you said there. You're heating up at just the right time. I mean, and to have that kind of security going into Bristol as well, you can kind of maybe experiment a little bit. And I'd much rather go into Bristol and have a guaranteed spot in the next round, right?
Yeah, it's just then you go in there, just have some fun, and you still want to learn some things and put some laps in, and hopefully still run good. And there's still stage points and playoff points there too. So if you can win a stage or get a win, those playoff points carry on. So there's still a lot to race for there. And I do want to say, what up front there was some really good racing. I know we had more cautions, but I do want to shout out all our drivers. There was some really close racing up front, and it was a lot of fun there in the top 12, 15 there the entire race. And I just want to shout out to our drivers up front there. It was a lot of fun.
It definitely seemed like a lot of fun. I mean, you guys were all very close when it came to pace, and definitely, if strategy could have went a number of different ways, and but you definitely were able to hold on to it, even though the deck was kind of stacked against you with that caution coming out, but you were able to somehow triumph. Great job, Josh. Who can we give a shout out after this big victory? And you're going to be secured into the next round, the round of 12.
Yeah, I want to congrats, Jeffrey Souza there for running second. He was in a good spot there, and Chris did a good job on new tires there too. Congrats to him and Matt Brandon, the top 5 there. Patrick, maybe just strategy didn't play it his way, but he was really fast tonight too. But kudos to those guys for running good, and Brian was up there too. And but I just want to thank everyone at G&G. I want to thank the ISCA, you guys in the booth for calling the races each week, and appreciate all the teammates putting in laps this week. And obviously, I already shout out TWS, but thanks to him and Kenny and. And again, just want to thank all of our great drivers that come out each week. I had a great field tonight, and just kind of the normal. I want to thank the sponsors, Pioneer Seeds, and that group for helping us out. And if you're on the highways, harvest is underway across the country, so use some patience with the big equipment, and just trying to get the crop out here sooner than later, and we'll be out of the way soon enough. So just give those guys respect as they're on the road too.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, people got to eat. Well, thanks, Josh, for your time, and of course. Great job on the win. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week at Bristol. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again.
Thanks, Brian.
That was John Schaffner, driver of the 50 machine. Definitely a fantastic performance for him. A good job, all in all, for everybody out here. I mean, a lot of different teams being represented up in the top 10. That's for sure. But, man, what a race. I mean, that was – we had a lot of cautions, but I tell you, it was just excitement, Big Al. I mean, I got to say – this is probably one of the more exciting races this season.
Yeah, definitely it was, man. And I'm going to tell you from every turn of it, because you usually, when you think about these mile and a halves, you don't associate them with as many cautions as we had, especially that was a totally strategy changer, plus the new update. So all of that coming together just made for a totally exciting evening.
Yeah, definitely was just so much fun to watch, and definitely appreciate Al Koslowski as well. Coming in and paying, giving us a little bit of company up here. Definitely helped us out for sure, and rested our voices a little bit. And definitely big congratulations once again to Josh Schaffner. And thank you to all the drivers in the field that made this race as exciting as it was. Of course, I know some drivers went home little bit more disappointed than they probably should be, or or would have wanted to be. This is also going to prime, I think, a lot of intensity for next week at Bristol, considering I think a lot of drivers are pretty much in a somewhat of maybe must win, maybe just have to do well. And Bristol is a track I don't want to go there and have to rely on Bristol. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Not gonna want to be the track that you want to pin your hopes and dreams to for playoff vindication or verification.
100%. Well, we definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Of course, make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter or Twitch and Facebook. We have all kinds of social medias out there. If you like what you saw here tonight, and I don't see why you wouldn't, you could definitely join us as well on the ISCA. Reach out to Kenny Powell. You can find us on the league directory. Put in an application. And for sure, we'll definitely get back with you, and hopefully we'll get you out here and be able to say your name on the broadcast. But we definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Thank you, Big Al, for always being the best co-commentator in the business. That's for sure. Thanks for Kenny Powell to putting all this on and letting us call these races. And of course, we'll see you next week. We'll be at Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum. That place is a super speedway, pretty much short track, and it's going to be exciting. Tune in 9:30 or 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when the broadcast will begin. Of course, the actual race itself a little after 9:30. We hope to see you there as we continue to go playoff racing here in the ISCA. We'll see you next time.